Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
This is Jesse from Club Venus from Stardom, and you're watching Stardom Cast.
And welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wondering Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined as ever by my co-host, Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you on this fine Wednesday?
Rob Goodwin, I am fantastic, and it's some celebration going on, I believe, from myself and you. I guess we have some special birthdays. Some special ladies in our lives are celebrating birthdays this week. I believe your mom's birthday is, today or sometime this week. And then on my half in the Turner household, a very special birthday going on. My own personal cosmic angel, my real life Twilight Dream.
Look at you massive softy.
Hold on, I'm not done yet. The biggest Tam Nakano fan in the world, kayfabe. My wonderful bride turns 40 on Saturday. So it's I remember that your mom's and my wife's birthday is right around the same time. So it's nice, some celebration going on with the Stardom Cast host this week, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's Big Mama Goodwin's 61st birthday today. I'm sure she'll hate me for coming out with her age on an actual podcast, but there we are. You did panic me then, briefly, when you said it's special girl's birthday. I was like, when's Kirsty's birthday? When's Kirsty's birthday? Oh my God. It's fine. It's June. But yes, it is. We're getting out for a meal later on, so it should all be nice. However, Matt, enough of this frivolity, enough of this small talk. We've got a lot to talk about today between Korakuen Hall, between Chiba, between Sendai Pit, between all of the random shows, between, Sendai Girls and Just Tap Out and Pro Wrestling Wave that we're going to cover. But the question on everyone's lips is, do we have results for the apple pie baking contest?
Rob Goodwin, it's not 100% in, and I'll explain why in a moment. However, very much like Montreal in 1997, I really feel like we have a screw job. I really feel like we have a screw job. Now, what Rob is referring to is my wife my wife is a phenomenal cook, and I am not just saying that because she's my wife. Rob can back me up on that. The day before we left for Philly Mania, he stayed over my house where my wife made dinner and lunch, blah, 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 breakfast the next morning, the whole nine. My wife is a phenomenal cook.
That breakfast was incredible. I don't know what it was, and I haven't had anything since or before that's the same. It was like a breakfast flan. It was incredible. Absolutely amazing.
It was like a quiche. I have a funny feeling that in Vegas, between Kirsty and Amber, they're going to be exchanging recipes, which will only benefit you, brother. It'll only benefit you, even though you'll be cursing me of all the extra cardio you're going to have to do them. And I'm going to be like, welcome to my world. Anywho, folks. So what had happened is that it was not only my wife entered the local fair apple pie contest. She entered the chocolate cake, the cookies, and the pastry. She made zucchini bread, which I had a slice of it yesterday while I was at work, and it was absolutely amazing. So she entered 4 different contests at the fair. Now, her sister, my sister-in-law, she entered. Her cousin and her uncle, they all entered as well. So the plan was, after Amber got done with her church meeting, is we were going to go to the fair to see the results. Rob Goodwin, I was fired up. I was listening to old school Metallica, some Ride the Lightning, some Master Puppets. I was ready to go. I was ready to run through that place like the Ultimate Warrior in '89 to start layering people, right? So what had happened was, my wife Amber did tell me, this meeting, it's a Zoom meeting. It's only going to be about 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll go to the fair. It's like, okay, no problem. Meeting went close to 2 hours. By the time she was done, she's like, the fair closes in 15 minutes. It's going to take us 10 minutes to get there. Don't even bother. Now, about an hour earlier she's about halfway through the meeting, and we get a text message from her sister that basically gave us the results. That was that my sister-in-law placed second in the apple pie contest and third in the chocolate cake contest. And then my nephew actually placed first for the juniors division and making cookies. So that was nice.
Nice.
But we did not see any ribbons or anybody telling us that Amber had placed. Now, is there a possibility that she placed and there's nobody told her? That is a possibility, but me knowing my sister-in-law as well as I do, my sister-in-law and my wife are very, very close. So if Amber would have placed, we have a feeling that she would have known. But we're going tonight just to take a look, just to do a double check. But I'm 99% sure that Amber did not place in anywhere, and it goes up to 7th place. So I don't know how there was 7 people that were better than her, but I have a feeling that there will be some Hazuki-like violence on some elderly people later on today. So, and I'm joking, folks. I'm not going to hurt anybody. This is just kind of the fun thing that we do. So she was a little upset because I know how much she put into it. But yeah, unfortunately, my friend, I do not think that she placed. However, I did tell her she's number 1 in my heart. And plus, it's her birthday. And we're going to go see Deadpool versus Wolverine on Thursday. So, I mean, she kind of really does win.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. However, I feel like we need to rise up in some sort of like purge-like violence in order to right this incredible injustice. If we can get a hashtag trending on Twitter, hashtag justice for Amber, hashtag screw job, hashtag apple pie screw job. Maybe don't write that. Then obviously we're doing our bit. I think it's an absolute travesty of justice that your poor wife hasn't even placed. Again, having tasted her cooking, there's no way she wouldn't place. So hopefully these old people, they will get what they deserve in terms of Hazuki style violence. Again, I'm not wishing violence on old people, obviously. But yes, that is a shame.
Just a joke. It's just a joke. But yeah, it is what it is. Regardless, though, she'll still be cooking fantastic for me, which again means more cardio. But regardless, so what's going on as far as your mom's birthday? You said you're going out for a meal. Was that later tonight, I believe, right?
It is indeed. We are having steak night tonight at one of the local restaurants. So that's going to be something to look forward to. Speaking of extra calories that I've got to burn off, that will certainly be contributing to them. Hence why I've just had toast for my breakfast and I've got a bowl of yogurt and granola for my lunch. So if you hear some graunching that sounds like someone is chewing a bag of gravel, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'll try and mute my microphone so that whilst I'm eating it, you can't hear it. But if you can, I apologise. I'll try and get rid of it in post. But yes, the steaks aren't American-sized. I didn't realise that American-sized steaks existed until I went to Florida, and then I saw a man literally have to use both his hands to hold the steak up, and I was like, oh, okay, these size steaks exist. We have poultry steaks in England that aren't cooked properly as well. Another thing I didn't realise until I tasted American steak. We can't cook steak in England. We're not very good at it. But nevertheless, I do love me a sirloin steak. So I'll be having that with some lovely chips or fries, as you Americans call them. And yeah, it's going to be a nice night with my girlfriend, my girlfriend's my girlfriend, my brother's girlfriend, and then obviously my mum and dad as well. So yeah, should be pleasant. And then me and Kirsty are actually going to go and see Wolverine and Deadpool tomorrow as well. So we'll have to compare notes.
We have a review. So not only will we be reviewing these fantastic shows from both Marigold and Stardom, but I don't think it's been a long time since me and you did a Marvel movie review. So folks, you need another reason to listen to the podcast next week. We just gave you one in the first few minutes of this show.
I mean, 2 pay-per-view shows to review as well as a review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I know what I would be tuning in for. No, in all seriousness, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a very, very good film. I've enjoyed the previous 2 Deadpools. So, yeah, fingers crossed it's going to be good. Anyway, enough of this. We have got a whole host of things to talk about, and that's without any news or anything like that. Today, we're going to be talking about the shows that Stardom have done over this weekend, the show in Sendai Pit, the show in Chiba in the TKP Garden City, and of course, the live show yesterday from Korakuen, which was fairly inconsequential. Nothing really major happened at Stardom Night or in Korakuen July. Nothing at all, Matt, so that'll probably be a really, really quick review, certainly. We've also got our previews of the two upcoming pay-per-views, the World and Wonder Sapporo Rendezvous shows. Full cards of that have been released today, so we'll be going through that during the preview and going through who we expect will win in terms of Natsuko and Soriano for the white belt, Natsukatora and Maika for the red belt. High Speed Championship is on the line with Saya Kamitani and Fuki. No, what am I talking about? May Sarah. I've got Queen Clown on the brain. Did you know what it is? Genuinely, I've got my notes up, and one of the things I haven't deleted from last week is just a picture of Fukigen Death's face.
That's your background on it.
Just
see, this case, it's the background on his desktop. It's just a big picture of Fukigen Death's face up close and personal.
Absolutely. I must admit, when you tagged me in that thing on Twitter that said Fukigen Death released a shirt, if I don't get at least 23 of them, I'm going to be so disappointed. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about all of those things, the two pay-per-views, Saya Kamitani and May Sarah, not Fukigen Death, has already defended the belt against Fukigen Death, and also what could potentially be a future of Stardom record-setting day for Rena, who has the chance to overtake her sister as the most successful Future of Stardom champion of all time. We've also got the shows from Just Tap Out, where Maika defended the belt against Tomoka Inaba. We have got a Sendai Girls show to talk about. We've also got Saya Kamitani and Ranna Yagami's run through the Catch the Wave finals as well. Whew, there's a lot to talk about. But before we get into any of that, Mr. Turner, what's coming up on our Patreon this week?
On our Patreon, folks, and we apologize, it's a little bit late, but Rob Goodwin was on a little bit of a vacation last week, as I'm sure you know. So the alternate commentary for this week will be released by the time this drops, which myself and Rob did the alternate commentary to a absolutely fantastic match from last year's 5-star Grand Prix in the packed Korakuen Hall as Tam Nakano took on one Mayu Iwatani. So that will be, by the time this airs, that should be in your Patreon feed, as well as myself and Allison Danger. What if myself and Allison Danger booked a Forbidden Door show, and that was basically any wrestling company that we wanted to? So Rob and I did something very, very similar like that last year around Forbidden Door season, and Allison sent me a message about a month or so ago, and she said, "Matt, this is what I want to do." I said, "Absolutely, Allison, we can do that." And Allison is one, Rob, that she likes to book herself onto shows, and anytime Allison wants to do something on the show, I immediately tell her yes. For example, she has already booked herself for August's What If, and it'll be what if myself and Allison had an unlimited budget and we were going to book our own wrestling company. So
Wow.
I kind of laugh again. Anytime she wants to come on, she's a hoot to talk to. We talk a lot about what's going on before we hit the record button, and after the record button, Allison is doing a lot of really, really fun stuff. And she said, "Well, that's the Carino way. That's the way that my brother, Steve Carino, taught me how to keep booking yourself into the territory, and they'll keep having you come back." So it's like, that's the Carino way, is to book yourself into certain territories. And Allison is constantly booking herself on the Stardom Cast Extra, and we will never say no to her because she is fantastic. And I do want to say on a personal note, the biggest congratulations to Allison, because next month she will be honored at the Cauliflower Alley Club for her contributions to women's professional wrestling. And she will be there the same exact time and the same date and the same basically the same honoring as Jim Ross, Sting, Medusa. So there are some legendary people that are in the same class with her. So congratulations to our good friend Allison Danger for and everybody. We thank you, past, present, and future, for everything that you have done for women's professional wrestling. So yes, my friend, that is basically what should be on your Patreon feeds by the time this episode airs. And then next week, our final alternate commentary for the month of July will be from the 2022 5-star Grand Prix, another hidden gem from a phenomenal tournament, as Suzuki takes on Starlight Kid.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And just speaking about that Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano match, we've actually completely accidentally timed this really well, because on the opening night of the 2024 5-Star Grand Prix, we have Tam Nakano and Mayu Iwatani once again. So we've somehow managed to time that really, really well. I do encourage you to go and check it out. It's a fantastic match, or in the words of Mayu Iwatani, check it out. It's one of our better alternate commentaries, in my opinion. I think we did a really, really good job. So please go and check it out. It would be really, really great. Again, loads of stuff over at patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. Just want to give a big shout out to Alex Harris and Kunal Negi. I'm really sorry if I've butchered that name. Please let me know how to say the name, and I'll try better next time. But thank you to both of you for joining the Stardom Cast Extra. We massively, massively appreciate all of your contributions, and it allows us to release absolutely shed loads of bonus content for you all. Let's
real quick, buddy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you to being so rude, but I know I made mention of our Stardom Cast contest for the 5-Star Grand Prix, and
yes.
I actually got some of the stuff wrong because I didn't know about the quarterfinals. So, which you corrected me like 5 minutes later. So here's what we're gonna do, folks. If you are part of the Stardom Cast Extra, any paid tier gets you into this contest. And what the contest is, and once we have everybody announced for the 5-Star Grand Prix, there's still 4 empty slots left. So as soon as we get all the names, we will put that up on the Patreon. So again, it's to any paid member of the Stardom Cast Patreon, the Stardom Cast Extra. If whoever has the most amount of points, whatever member of the Patreon has the most amount of points, you get your pick of any one of Rob's books or something from our merchandise store. And we do have quite a few new merchandise ideas that should be filtering in over the next few weeks, so you can have your pick of that. So how this is going to run is, if you pick the overall winner right, that's 5 points. If you pick the 2 wrestlers that are going to the finals, that is 4 points for each wrestler. So you can get up to 8 there. If you pick the 4 wrestlers that are going to be in the semifinals, that's 3 points. And then if you pick any of the 8 wrestlers that are in the quarterfinals, that's 2 points each. So 2 times 16, you have the chance to get up to 16 points in the quarterfinals. And then also, for an added bonus, just to make things fun, is if you pick the wrestler that has the least amount of points, that's 1 point. So again, and I'm going to be breaking this down on social media over the upcoming days. But again, this is open to anybody that is a paid member of the Stardom Cast Extra. And whoever has the most amount of points, whatever member of our fantastic Patreon has the most amount of points at the end of this, you will win a prize. And if there is a tiebreaker, you all win. So again, little as $1 get you into this fantastic contest, Rob. And I always like doing these because it just makes this tournament so much more fun as we get to see like who's getting close to doing points or who might win. So it just makes a really fun tournament even so much better.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, obviously, with the finals of the play-in tournament happening over the course of the Sapporo pay-per-views, I'm hoping that over this week we should have a finalized finalized lineup for the 5-Star Grand Prix. That's the hope, anyway. It would surprise me if we come out of this weekend, 2 weeks away from the start of the 5-Star Grand Prix, and we don't have full blocks, but we will see. We'll see what this pay-per-view brings. Let's go into some news then. We're going to start with something that dropped a little earlier today, and this comes courtesy of Stardom's English PR and comms man, Tom Fain, friend of the show, Tom Fain, who tweeted out today that starting this weekend with the shows in Sapporo, Stardom fans can enjoy English subtitled promos in high resolution on the official YouTube channel. Now, this is something that they have been integrating to the English Twitter page and has been a massive success, in my opinion, and the speed at which they are getting them up onto Twitter, especially after the live shows, I think has been a real bonus and has really helped get over those stories that the wrestlers are trying to work. One thing that I said that I missed from the way Stardom used to do things, maybe not for every match, but the pre-match promos that they used to have really is something that I do miss about the way Stardom do. Not not every single match. Obviously, sometimes there isn't anything to say, as proved by some of the absolutely fantastic promos cut. But it does help. And I think if you're trying to reach a Western market, which I know Stardom are, they are trying to sort of branch out towards the West. I think something as simple as putting these things on their YouTube channel so that you haven't got to subscribe to Stardom World. If you don't want to go onto Twitter, which isn't for everyone, and I completely understand that, I think it's a great way to go about it. So as if it wasn't already worthy of you subscribing to the Stardom YouTube channel, which had, for free, the return of Suzu Suzuki yesterday, this is certainly a reason to subscribe, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. And I know every Wednesday I usually go to my comic book shop. Shout out to the Encounter Comics and Games in Union Boulevard, Allentown, Pennsylvania. And there's a lot of talking of pro wrestling going on there, and I know majority of the workers there and the customers, they don't watch Japanese wrestling because they can't get into it because of the language barrier, which I completely understand. But like whenever I bring up, you've never seen any of the Misawa, Kawada, Kabashi matches, they're like, no, it doesn't matter how good the wrestling is. They just can't get into it without the language barrier. And when I go to see them, again, we're taping this on a Wednesday, when I go to see them later today and let them know, hey, guess what? That YouTube channel, that's free, that has all that really great wrestling I'm telling you about, it's going to have English subtitles on there. So that is going to help out Stardom quite a bit. And I'm assuming that in the next upcoming months, every Wednesday when I go to pick up my books, I'm going to be the prettiest girl at the dance, because they're going to have a lot of questions about certain wrestlers like an Azumi, a Hazuki, a Mayu Iwatani, a Suzu Suzuki, a Micah, and so on and so forth. So this is, yes, as you mentioned a few seconds ago, partner, this is something that Stardom really, really wanted to do to get into the English-speaking market. Obviously, England, everything in North America, especially America, those are some really big markets that Stardom really wants to expand. And this is a great way for them to do that. And again, we were at the ECW Arena show in Philadelphia for WrestleMania weekend, where the venue was absolutely jam-packed and sold out. And every single wrestler on that show in a legendary venue like the ECW Arena got over like $1 million. And now the fact in the upcoming months, we are going to be knowing more about the characters, knowing more about the storylines, at least having a better connection, because we were able to get those English subtitles. This is nothing short of 10 home runs for Stardom, and kudos to our friends over there that run the We Are Stardom page and our good buddy Tom over there, because this is something, something so small that is really going to be able to connect a lot of the dots into beginning over some of these promos, some of these storylines, and some of these characters as well. So yeah, super excited for this, and this is nothing but 2 giant thumbs up from me, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on then to Ami Sourei, who, of course, was pulled from cards this weekend due to a couple of injuries. Matt, I know you talked a little bit about this on the podcast, but I just wanted to go through it again. Obviously, tore her ACL, or damaged her ACL, and then has been wrestling through that, which is mental in itself. And then on top of that, tore her meniscus as well, and that was when she opted to get surgery. She is now out of hospital. The surgery has happened. All is well. She did tweet out saying that she's now out of hospital. Everything's fine, but she is looking forward to kicking the ass of a weather tie. We will get into why very, very shortly. But yeah, good things for Ami Sourei. But Matt, it's something that I know is something that's hard to drive out of wrestlers, and that's the concept of fighting through the pain, because of the inherent danger and the inherent impact of what you are doing. We're hearing that Ami Sourei was wrestling through either a tore or at least injured ACL, which is a huge recovery time anyway. She must have been in absolute agony. What's the worst injury, aside from when you decided that you were going to try and be Azumi and dive off the top rope? What's the worst injury that you've sort of gone, I'm going to have to just fight through this?
I've been concussed a couple times in the middle of a match, and you don't know that you're concussed. God. You just think you have your bell rung. So and you have certain spots you have to do. If it's a match that you're calling in the ring, you might be able to take it home. But if you have certain spots that you have to do, you're just like, I just kind of need to shake the cobwebs out and finish this, because that's ultimately you want to get the match. You want to make sure your opponent's happy. If I'm in a tag match, which for the last 5 or 6 years, 90% of my matches are tag matches, I want to make sure I'm getting the tag team over, and you want to make sure that the fans are getting their money's worth, at least in your match. You can't control what happens in other matches, but you know that you want to go out there and give the fans their money's worth. And the scary thing is with any injury, Rob, whether it's, I've mentioned it before on this podcast, I have 2 deteriorated discs in my lower back. And that's all from wrestling. And I'm not complaining. I would do it 10 times over because of how much I love pro wrestling and how much I love my time in the ring. But the one thing that you have to consider is not only your health, but your opponent is giving you their body. So if I have a concussion and I'm supposed to do a top rope brainbuster, probably not going to execute it as well and as safe. That's the main thing. So not only can I do further damage to myself, but you may be damaging your opponent. And with Ami Sourei, who very much like Suzu Suzuki was wrestling through these injuries, and we kind of went back and watched the matches and we're like, didn't seem like they were injured. She was very safe with their style. And Ami and Suzu Suzuki, they both have very physical styles. It's one of the many reasons why we love the two of them, why the two of them are 2 of our favorite wrestlers in Stardom. So it just goes to show you their pain threshold, but at the same time, they might be saying something like, you're all right, like I'm doing more damage to myself. Not only is that hurting me, but there's a possibility that I might not be able to get somebody up for a body slam all the way. Or like Suzu with a tequila shot, which is a crazy move. I might not hit this 100% and go off to the side, hurt somebody's shoulder, hurt somebody's neck. So not only do I need to take time off to heal myself, I need to take the danger out of my matches so nobody else gets injured. So, I mean, kudos to the Stardom wrestlers to finally saying, hey, let me heal up a little bit. So this way, not only am I good for myself, I can put out the best effort for the fans. And most importantly, I'm not going to be hurting anybody else in the ring. And it's not done on purpose. It's just you physically can't be able to get somebody up and to land them safely, like how Ami Sourei does have the Blue Thunder Bomb, which is amazing, and the Like a Thunderbolt, which is an amazing finisher. So it just blows my mind that she has this torn ACL and battered meniscus. And she goes out and has great matches, like that match she had at Flash and Champions with Soriano. So at the same time, it's like, look, if you have an MCL and ACL, and you're going into the 5-star Grand Prix, might be best to take the tournament off to rest up, because there's no tag matches. There's no Sherry's in this match, she can do the load of the work. Or, hey, this is just a quick match with Fukin Death. No offense, Rob. I can get this done in 2 or 3 minutes and not danger myself. She was scheduled, correct me if I'm wrong, night 1 to go against Saya Kamitani. That is going to be a barn burner of a match. And at the same time, she's only going to be putting herself in more danger and injuring herself more. So obviously we did not want to see her leave the 5-star Grand Prix. I believe she was mine and yours breakout wrestler of the tournament last year. So we thought she was going to have a huge, huge tournament, considering the fact of how great her wrestling's been over the past years. So obviously it's the smart decision. And we wish her speedy recovery. And I said it last week, I would love to see her in this tournament, but her replacement is somebody me and you have been singing the praises of over the past 2 months, my man.
I'm so happy for Ranna Yagami. I really am. She's been such a highlight, such a delight on these last couple of shows. She had a singles match with Azumi, I believe, at Sendai, which was brilliant. She was a highlight during the multi-woman at Korakuen, where she was forced to do the bear dance. Just her facial expressions were brilliant. And she's getting really over with the crowd as well. And I think sort of incorporating more of that, for lack of a better phrase, Syuri-based offense, I think is really suiting her. And to me, that's what God's Eye should be. It should be people sitting under the learning tree. I know that's trademark, but you know what I mean. Sitting under the learning tree of Syuri, and I feel like Ranna Yagami is the perfect embodiment of that. And I think Tomoka Inaba, if she was to be on more shows with God's Eye, I think she would be another one that would sit there as well. Huge opportunity for Ranna Yagami. Is she going to get more than maybe 2 points? No, she is going to be eating a lot of L's. However, it's not necessarily the losses that matter. It's the experience that matters. It's the fact that she can go into this tournament, have repeated singles matches against the best in the company, against your Saya Kamitanis, your Syuris. I can't think of else in that block just off the top of my head, but you get my meaning. It's obviously a huge shame for Ami Sourei. I think this could have been a really big tournament for her. I think this could have been, especially with the introduction of the quarterfinals, I think this could have been a chance for her to reach the knockout stages. So yes, of course, it's a massive shame. It's always been something for me where it must be really, really difficult to find the balance between wanting to carry on, wanting to push through the injury and, carry on for the company's sake and, for the people around you, but also doing yourself more damage. I know that ACL injuries, the recovery time is absolutely astronomical. It's like 9 months on its own. To then have an MCL injury on top of that is gutting. It really is. And she's been given a prognosis of roughly a year. So it's a year till we're going to see Amisuri in the ring again, potentially, which is obviously absolutely devastating, but we wish her nothing but the best. I said Suri, I meant Suzu Suzuki, by the way, in Blue Stars B. I realised afterwards, I was like, she's not on the same block as Suri. So just to sort of go over that again, Blue Stars B block now reads Suzu Suzuki, Saya Kamitani, Hanan, Ranna Yagami, Saki Kashima, and Tekla. I could have seen Amisuri coming out of that block. Obviously, Ranna Yagami will not be getting out of that block. It's going to be interesting, and obviously, when we do our preview in the next couple of weeks, I'm looking forward to hearing who you think are going to be emerging from, especially that block where there is the opportunity to give someone a really, really, really big push. Moving on then. Stardom wrestlers out and about. Goodness gracious me, there really are people out and about. First of all, Matt, is just the red belt, just the wonder of the World of Stardom Championship that was defended at a Just Tap Out show, the Just Tap Out 5th anniversary, 15th of July, 2024, Korakuen Hall in front of 695 people. This was obviously the main event. Maika defeating Tomoka Inaba in 19 minutes and 26 seconds. Matt, this got a lot of buzz online. It's now free to view on Stardom World if you haven't seen this already. But this was a fantastic match, wasn't it?
Holy jeez, yeah. I think it was released and it took me maybe about 24 hours to get to view it because I think it came out like on a Saturday night. My Saturday nights into Sundays are just insane, and everybody was like, "Matt, you need to see this. Matt, you need to see this. Matt, you need to see this." Even a friend of the show, Darren Chatton. Hey, Darren, hope you're doing well. He actually direct messaged me and he's like, "I know what you like in wrestling, and you're going to like this." I'm like, "Okay." Here's the problem. I have seen the best wrestling like ever for the last 20 some odd years. So when people are telling me how good this match is, like now my bar is set really high. Now it's set, and I enjoy all wrestling. I mean, you know that, partner. Again, in the immortal words of the late great Roddy Piper, anybody that answers a bell, I have the ultimate respect for. But in my head, this matchup but nobody told me it was like the greatest match ever. But it's like, we know what you like. You need to see this. Boy, howdy, nobody did me wrong. This was phenomenal. Tomoka Inaba, new gear, looked like $1 million. I am so excited for her to be in the 5-star Grand Prix. I'm so excited that she's been in so many of these Stardom matches because before she kind of dabbled back into Stardom, I think it was back in April and May. I don't think we've seen her in like a year. And it's just like, no disrespect to the fine folks over at JTO. She's outgrown that company. And now it's time for her to come to the big leagues. And there's no bigger champion in Joshi than Maika. That red belt, is something that has been built up for the last 13 years. And we've seen some great champions, the Utamis, the Shiris, the Eos, so on and so forth. And Maika is getting to that level. She really feels like how Utami was 3 years ago. And Tomoka Inaba, she absolutely brought it. And I always like the spots when you have a really good kicker versus a really good either forearm person or really good clothesline person. And they did that spot where Tomoka tries to throw the high kick, like the Crow Cop style head kick to Maika, and then Maika blocks it with the clothesline. And then Maika tries to throw the clothesline at Tomoka Inaba, and then Tomoka Inaba blocks it with the head kick, and they go back and forth with it, which I thought was good. And Maika's arm is all taped up. So when she's selling, like when she's wincing in pain, you even feel that because she has that bullseye on her arm, on her lariat arm, which I thought was great. These two were terrific. Like Tomoka Inaba's knees, like the one where she has Maika in the corner, where Maika's sitting in the corner and she's running and she's doing like that running like Nakamura style knee into Maika's head. It looked like this absolutely crushed her. This was terrific. The crowd was into it. The crowd was so hot for this match from the jump, and they did a great job building. There was just like some excellent stuff here. I like how Maika, she does the superplex And I think you'll agree with me, partner. It's the best superplex in all of wrestling. And now what she does in these big matches, she holds on and then does the Eddie Guerrero Three Amigos. So you have the big superplex and you have the big vertical suplexes right afterwards. So you're getting 3 or 4 big moves all in chain. I really, really enjoyed that. Then there was the one part where Tomoka, she hits her finisher on Micah. And we all pretty much know they're not changing the belt here. Like, Tomoka Inaba will probably be red belt champion maybe in a couple years, but it's Micah's time. It really, really is. And again, we'll get into the end. It's one of the many reasons why I don't think they're taking the belt off Micah anytime soon. And again, we'll get into that in 3 hours when we get to that point of the show. But she hits the one shot, one kill Tomoka kick or whatever it's called that I love. And it's a really great falsie. I thought that was great. And then she hits the Mijinoko driver on Micah, which is Micah's finisher, but obviously they've had the same teacher, the innovator of that move, and the guy who runs the company, Taka Mijinoko, an absolute legend in Japanese wrestling. So I thought that was good. Then there was the spot where Tomoka goes for the one shot, one kill again. And again, here's my Gorilla Monsoon reference of the show. Going to the well once too often. I'm like, she's not going to get it again. How is Micah going to block it as she's coming off the ropes? And I'm thinking, boy, wouldn't it be great if she just scooped her up and hit her with a Mijinoko driver? Sure enough, she does. And when she hits the Mijinoko driver, I'm watching this and I'm thinking in my head, I hope she doesn't pin her right away. I hope she sells exhaustion because Tomoka's just blitzing her with these kicks. And sure enough, Micah can't capitalize on the Mijinoko driver because she's exhausted. And we've seen Micah do this before. We've seen it in the match, the final Himika match at All-Star Grand Kingdom last year, where she hits the Mijinoko driver. She's exhausted. She can't go for the pin, but she can go for another Mijinoko driver. So I figured maybe that's where it's going. She goes to pick Tomoka up for another Mijinoko driver, and Inaba's not done yet. She hits a Julia-style headbutt. And I'm like, oh, man, like, we are keeping going here. We are keep going. So she hits the Julia-style headbutt, and Micah just fires up. She finally hits the 360 lariat that she's been trying, either a lariat or that 360 lariat, the discus lariat she was trying for early on the match. She hits it, and I'm like, okay, now she's going to hit the Mijinoko driver because it's the perfect time to finish. She hits another Mijinoko driver right into the cover, and I'm sitting in my podcast room like, this match is genius. Tomoka Inaba kicks out. I'm like, oh my God, what more can they possibly do? This is the highest point of the match, so I thought, but we're able to go just a little bit higher 5 seconds later as then Micah then hits the hammerlock Mijinoko driver for the finish. This was absolutely brilliant. 4 3/4 stars for me. Micah, in my opinion, if you take all the wrestling companies, at least the ones that I watch, your top champion, your Cody, your Damian Priest, your Naito, those are all your top champions in the companies of the wrestling companies I watch. I know, sorry with Marigold, but she just won the belt, so we're going to kind of just put her to the side for now. Micah is the best bell-to-bell wrestler in any of these top companies. And again, I love Cody Rhodes. I love Naito. I'm just talking about from a pure bell-to-bell aspect. Nobody's putting on better championship matches in all of wrestling than Micah. To when she won the belt against Suzu, to Saya Kamitani, to the match with Megan Bay, and again, partner, we were there. Phenomenal match. The Momo match, the Utami match, which was just legendary. The Xena match, which we knew it was going to be good, but we were like, damn, Xena's now a main eventer. Xena's now a main eventer because as good as she was and is, Micah pulled her up to that level. Micah did this with Tomoka Inaba. From a wrestler that is not fully signed to Stardom, Tomoka Inaba gave Micah an absolute match of the year candidate here. This was fantastic. I know I texted you about 4 or 5 times. You need to watch it. I have not heard your review of this match, partner. I'm going to tag you in. 4 3/4 stars for me. What did you think?
Good grief, that was comprehensive. Genuinely, there's not a
I
lot.
love this match. I love this match.
I know. Yeah, there's not a lot I can add to that. Tomoka Inaba is a star in the making. She's 22. I believe she's 22 today, actually. And between this and then the added focus that she's had in the multi-person tags over the last couple of days, including exchanges with Mayu Iwatani, it does seem that Stardom are very high on her. They've obviously just put a belt on her sister, Azusa Inaba. So I hope it is a matter of time before Tomoka Inaba is appearing on more Stardom shows, maybe even signing to Stardom. She's only got upside. I think she had absolutely phenomenal chemistry with Micah. I know they worked a lot together in Just About, and I know, in fact, the last match for Micah before she left was against Tomoka Inaba. So Incredible match. Go out of your way to see this. My question to you, though, I know obviously you are incredibly high on this match. For anyone who didn't listen to Matt's review, then incredibly high on this match. Where does this sit in terms of Maika's other defenses? On your totem pole of Maika red belt defenses, you think Saya Kamitani, Utami, Momo, Megan Bain, Tomoka Inaba, where does she sit in terms of that?
This match, are you counting now the Suzu? I'm going to go through my star ratings because I already knew the top of my head. So I'm going to go through every star rating. This is, as far as defenses, it's number 2. As far as matches, it's number 3. Her and Suzu for me was 5 stars. Her and Saya was 4 3/4. But I like, and you know I love me some Saya Kamitani. I like this Tomoka match a little bit better. Her and Megan Bain, I think, was 4.5 stars. Her and Momo, I did give her and Momo 5 stars. But I think just because of just the sheer violence of a 2 out of 3 falls match. The Utami match was 5 stars and almost broke my Stardom scale rating. I liked it that much. As far as defenses goes, it's underneath Utami, and it's right there with Momo. That's how much I love this match. And again, every one of these Maika championship matches is anywhere. The lowest one for me is Megan Bain at 4.5 stars. That's how much I'm loving this Maika run. And again, this feels very much like when Utami won the belt because we weren't sure. We only saw Utami in a couple main events. She never won the white belt. So very much like if Saya Kamitani wins the red belt, we've seen her in main events for like 2.5 years defending that white belt. We know she can carry a main event and draw money and make the championship and her opponent look better. We didn't see that with Maika, but this is very much like Utami 3 years ago. So where once it got going, it's just like, I just don't want this to end. Like, she is a bona fide star. She's a main eventer. Every single one of these shows that she is having a red belt defense on, they are drawing a really, really big number. You know, you made mention this show with Tomoka Inaba drew almost 700 people for Just Tap Out. I don't know if Just Tap Out draws around 600-700 people for their Korakuen shows that doesn't have Maika on it. I'm going to say no, but anytime that there is a red belt defense on it, she's the main event. All those shows draw really well, and they're all critically acclaimed. So to answer your question, it's probably 2 or 2A, you know, right by the Momo one. But I liked it better than the Xena. I like it better than Megan Bain. Again, I liked it better than the Saya Kamitani, and I love that match. But I don't think it's as good as the Utami. But that Utami one for me was one of the best matches I've seen all year.
Yeah, it was a great match. A really, really, really good match, and quite the way to sign off Utami Hayashi's career in Stardom, at least for now. Moving on then, away from what was an absolutely phenomenal match. I gave it 4 3/4 stars as well. Thought it was absolutely tremendous. We had other Stardom participation on the show, but before we move on to the Sendai Girls show that saw both Mina Shirakawa and the team of Starlight and Miyu Amasaki, I'm gonna have to bring this up. The Momo Kogo match from the CMLL show, man. You weren't a fan of it, were you?
Again, anybody that answers the bell, I have the ultimate respect for. Rob told me 2 weeks ago, he said, when I didn't watch the match, he questioned my my work ethic towards the pod, my dedication. And I was sitting there on my lunch break and I watched the match, and as soon as it was over, and I knew you were on vacation, I didn't want to bother you. And I go, I said, do me a favor, when you get time, watch this match. And if you ever question my dedication, my work ethic for this podcast, I'm going to shoot headbutt you in the eye. Momo Kogo was great. Momo Kogo was fantastic, and I'll probably never watch that match again. And that's nice that she got a match in CMLL, big promotion like CMLL. I'd like to move on to the next topic, sir, because I don't like to waste any time, not only on this podcast, but in my life talking about anything negative, because that's not who I am, and our time on this planet is short. So Momo Kogo was great. What else you got for me today, sir?
Oh, the text messages had me in tears. So, anyway, as I said, Sendai Girls ran Sendai Pit on the 20th of July. Another really good card following on from the card that saw Dash Chisako and Momo Watanabe destroy each other in a hardcore match. And, of course, Saori Anou regain the Wonder of Stardom Championship. And gain the Sendai World Championship as well from Mikuru Iwata. Here we had Dash Chisaka versus Yurika Oka, which was very, very good. Millie McKenzie in a 6-woman tag as well with Nina Samuels and Miyuki Takase, which was also very good. Stardom alumni Hiroya Matsumoto was on the first match as well. But the matches I want to talk about, of course, are the singles match, Mikuru Iwata versus Mina Shirakawa, that went to a 15-minute time limit draw. And the main event, Team 200 kg, Chihiro Hashimoto and Yu defeating Miyu Amasaki and Starlight Kid in 18 minutes and 19 seconds. Now, Matt, I know that you have been a bit critical of Yu and her selling in previous matches, more specifically during her time with the Neo Stardom Army and Nanae Takahashi. What did you think of her in this match? What did you think of her performance and this main event match as a whole?
I thought the main event match was great. I like the Mina Miko Wada match a little bit better, but we'll get into that because you're asking about the tag match. I like this teaming of Hashimoto and Yu, and I believe they are a constant tag team over in Sendai Girls, and I've seen a handful of their matches, and they're great. They're terrific. Hashimoto's she's amazing. She is so good. Just how quick she is and certain things she does and how she snaps German suplexes and her selling and her timing and her feeding for strikes, I thought was terrific. Again, we had Miyu Amasaki in there, who's only been wrestling a little over 2 years, so she's kind of the junior in this match. And obviously, you kind of have the smaller, high-speed style wrestlers of Starlight Kid and Miyu up against the absolute hosses and badasses that is Yu and Hashimoto. And I thought Miyu, especially in the striking game, really, really brought up her offense. And I'll never forget, it was in the 2022 Goddess of Stardom Tag League where it was 7-Up, Nanae Takahashi, and Yu against O2 Line, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. And Miyu was throwing the softest forearms at Yu. So I was like, I completely understand why you wouldn't sell that. Like that forearm wouldn't break an egg. My thing was like the next show she wouldn't sell for Ami Sourei and or Mirai, which blew my mind. Again, you can go back to those episodes 2 years ago and listen. But Miyu, I was like, Miyu better. I mean, she's been improving so much over the last 5 or 6 months, especially in the striking game. Like, she better bring her striking here, and her striking, she brought it. There was one point where she just kept throwing bombs at Hashimoto, like 7 or 8 in a row, and then Hashimoto, after like the 4th or 5th one, started to sell down to a knee, and she fired up and just laid waste to Miyu with just one like forearm or was a lariat or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's a cool spot because Miyu is taking all these strikes to kind of break down Hashimoto, but Hashimoto's like, I better fire up and knock this off or else I'm going to get KO'd. I thought that was a really good spot. I thought Yu was terrific here. The tag chemistry between Hashimoto and Yu was really good. And again, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 of their tag matches. I think they're a fantastic tag team. Starlight Kid was great here. I liked how the psychology of this match was these wrestlers are obviously bigger and stronger than us. Let me go to the knee. Let me go to the knee of that Black Tiger leg killer submission to try to break this down, to try to get them down to our level on the mat. I really like that, but ultimately it was just the power of Hashimoto and Yu that was able to outdo the team of SL, May, or 4XL, whatever you want to call this faction, which I believe we are getting a name soon. But I like the finish with just the blitzing lariat from Hashimoto to Miyu Amasaki. I think this was a great match and a really great showing for Miyu Amasaki. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend.
Yeah, it's a very good match. Again, I'm a big fan of big tag teams. Like, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Terry Gordy, for example. And I just love their dynamic. I love the way that they are dominant. And I love the way that they ragdolled effectively Miyu Amasaki and Starlight Kid around the ring. I think that they were the perfect sort of smaller underdogs in this match. I really enjoyed the way that Starlight Kid, like you mentioned, went for the knees. It seems to be her go-to whenever she's in trouble, and it works, especially because the Black Tiger leg killer is it looks so devastating as well. Completely agree about Miyu Amasaki. Very poor forearms earlier in her career, and she's just improved massively. I think something that has escalated in the last couple of shows is her aggression levels as well, her passion levels. You can really see the fire behind the strikes. The strikes aren't thrown for strike's sakes. They're there because she means it. She's emotionally invested in the moves, and I think that's a big plus for Miyu. You could see that here. 4 stars for me. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I know you want to talk about Mikuru Iwata from Mina Shirakawa, though, so please, Matt, you have the floor.
Absolutely. This match starts out with the code of honor, which I always get a pop for me. So I like that little handshake to start. And then they start with the two of them exchanging snapmare kicks. It's like who has the harder kicks. And obviously we're a huge fan of Mina Shirakawa on this show, but going kick for kick with Miko Iwata might not have been the best option, as then Iwata just really opens up her striking game on Mina Shirakawa. But then Mina goes to her bread and butter, goes to the knee of Miko Iwata. Simple story to tell. Mina knows how to use the figure four and how to break down the knee to set up her bigger offense, whether it's the Mina driver, whether it's the forearms, whether it's the glamorous sword, the Enziguri. Really love that psychology on Mina Shirakawa. Plus, it takes away a lot of the offense of Miko Iwata. She's so explosive, especially with the kicks, the forearms, the running of the knees, with that running knee strike that she does. And I liked how whenever Iwata would hit like a big kick, she would almost like collapse and like sell her leg. Like, okay, I need to hit this kick, even though my knees are bothering me, my legs are bothering me from the work that Mina Shirakawa is doing. But I need to hit it to create some separation. So she'd hit like a big kick. Mina would take the bump. She'd roll away a little bit from Iwata. Then Iwata would take a step back, and then she would go down and sell the leg. I really like that. And it makes sense because then we're ultimately building up to all these figure four attempts that Mina Shirakawa is doing on Iwata. So it's really great selling from both these wrestlers, especially Miko Iwata, selling the leg and then able to fire up to get some of these strikes off and then go back down to selling of the leg. Ultimately, though, the time expires as Iwata and Mina hit two head kicks at the same time. I thought the timing of the spot was really good. I thought the psychology was excellent. I would hope to see these two in a ring sometime soon, whether it's a Stardom ring or a Sendai Girls ring or maybe an AEW ring. Who knows? I thought this was terrific. 4.25 stars for me.
Yeah, that last point that you made is the one that really sticks out for me. Sometimes when you try and do time limit draws and you're trying to do the spot where, one person is on top, but they just can't get the pinfall in time. We actually saw it yesterday when we recorded Mayu versus Tam. And Tam hit the Twilight Dream just as the bell hit. That was another one that was perfectly timed. This was beautifully timed. And when you get to very similar style wrestlers, which Mina and Miko Iwata showed that they are in this match, it does gel very, very well. I think, Mina Shirakawa might be a hard striker. Going strike for strike with Miko Iwata may have been one of the bigger mistakes that she's made over the last 6 months. But there we are. Again, no loss for Mina. I think this was a really good card just in general. I think this was a really good show from the matches that I saw. Another great match for Mina, another great match for Miyu Amasaki and Starlight Kid. I gave this one 4.25. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, before we go into the Stardom shows, of course, Saya Kamitani, who is going to be a focus of, I imagine, a fierce debate later on in the show. She had a fantastic time at the Catch the Wave finals on the 14th of July, again inside Korakuen Hall for Pro Wrestling Wave. 643 people in attendance to see Saya Kamitani go through Itsuki Aoki in 30 minutes and 56 seconds in the semi-final to go on to the final and defeat Kohaku in 30 minutes and 42 seconds to become the winner of the Catch the Wave 2024 tournament. She won 4 million yen, I believe, or something like that. 1 million yen? I can't remember. It was something million yen, and I think it was about $4,000. And she has a guaranteed title match, which I believe is penciled in for the 4th of November. Ranna Yagami, who's also on this show, had made it out of her block, but unfortunately was unsuccessful in the young block final, where she lost to Honoka in 13 minutes and 33 seconds. Matt, what did you think of Saya's run on this final night?
Saya's run all these matches, and I know, partner, I don't think you got the opportunity, just because of all the wrestling going on, to watch many of these matches. If you're pressed for, I would try to watch every one of these Saya matches, and the Ranna matches are good as well, but especially the two matches Saya has with Risa Sarah, because boy howdy, those were the two best matches of these two runs. But as far as her final night went in Korakuen Hall, the wrestlers that she wrestled I'd never seen before. I've never heard of them before. They both put on really great matches. Her match one with I believe, is it pronounced Aoki?
I think so, yes. But you're asking the wrong person.
Uh-huh. at least this way we're in the same boat, buddy. So either we're both right or we're both wrong, but at least we're consistent. But I thought Aoki was really good. I liked how early on the match she goes to break down Saya's leg. Like she's using the half crab to kind of slow down Saya Kamitani. And we've seen this psychology with Saya Kamitani before because she's such an explosive wrestler. And Saya's able to use that picture perfect dropkick that she does that creates some separation. And then Aoki goes out to the floor. However, if you listen to this podcast, you are pretty much like me that have seen about 100 Saya Kamitani matches where there's no safe place for you in a match with Saya Kamitani. Saya does a running plancha off the apron and then throws Aoki back in the ring and hits the slingshot body splash for 2 count. I thought that was really good. The crowd was really hot for both wrestlers, but as the match really gets crux towards the end, they're all chanting for Saya Kamitani's name. Aoki hits a huge lariat onto Saya Kamitani for a 2 count, and then she follows up with a beautiful German suplex. However, Saya is able to bounce back up and hit a Frankensteiner pretty much out of nowhere for the 3 count. Really enjoyed this one. I had it at 3 3/4 stars. And then as far as the main event goes with Kohaku, am I saying that right, Rob? Or are we both in the same boat here?
Again, I am assuming so. That's how I would say it, so I'm on board with you.
So the match really starts with Kohaku almost jumping Saya Kamitani, sending Saya to the floor. Eventually, though, Saya Kamitani does the drop kick that sends Kohaku to the floor, and the springboard plancha. Again, Saya Kamitani one-on-one wrestling. It works. Kohaku is able to come back. She hits Saya with a missile dropkick of herself and then locks in a leg scissors headlock. I'm always a big fan of that move. That's actually the move that I believe Minoru Suzuki won some of his pancrase matches with, the headlock scissors, which is as a shoot hold. It's very, very painful. Eventually, the two of them fight out to the apron. Kohaku wins the apron fight, hits a beautiful DDT, spiking Saya Kamitani on her head. They go out to the floor. They get a little bit of a brawl. However, Saya gets the advantage on the floor, winning the striking battle. Hits a Northern Light suplex onto the parquet floor of Korakuen Hall. Back in the ring they go with Saya Kamitani just punishing Kohaku with kicks, especially that spin kick. That 360 kick that she does. We've seen her do it a million times. It looks like she gets her left foot and just wraps it around your head. It's so impressive. Really, really good stuff. Kohaku is able to come back. She slows down Saya Kamitani, locking in a sleeper hold, and then she uses a sleeper hold for a running knee strike on the former Wonder Stardom champion that scores her a 2 count. Saya Kamitani is able to come back with more Northern Light suplex, but this is the locomotion variation of it where she hits 3 in a row for a 2 count. She goes for the Star Crusher to put Kohaku away. However, Kohaku was able to roll through the Star Crusher, and it's a Northern Light suplex of her own for a 2 count. Saya Kamitani does come back with the spin kick and that grounded 360 kick that finally wears down Kohaku enough for Saya Kamitani is able to hit the Star Crusher for the 3 count. I have this one at 3 3/4 stars as well. Every single one of these Saya Kamitani matches and catch the wave. I thought maybe she would dull down her style a little. I mean, that sounds terrible, and I don't mean it to, but basically not go full Stardom Saya Kamitani. I guess it's just in Saya Kamitani to go 100% all the time because every one of these matches is a really, really good match. And again, the Risa Sarah matches, she has 2 of them. Those are the 2 best matches of the tournament. But every single match that Saya is in, she gives her opponent a lot and really shines up her opponent in these matches. And again, I know that Catch the Wave, they run smaller venues because they're a smaller independent Joshi style company. But in all these shows that Saya was on, partner, I didn't see many empty seats. I did not see many empty seats. So the investment that Catch the Wave put into Saya Kamitani having on these shows, I believe it was a success from what I see from ticket sales. And obviously her matches were terrific. And she wins the Catch the Wave tournament. And I know she is a favorite of everybody to win the 5-star Grand Prix, which obviously we'll preview in a few weeks. So this really might be the summer of Saya Kamitani.
Well, yeah, she's certainly set about recovering from the loss of Queen's Quest very, very well. Things are certainly coming up. Saya, the partnership with Micah, potentially going after the Goddess of Stardom belts, if you're to believe the post-match promos. She's won the Catch the Wave tournament. She has the opportunity to win that belt. Obviously, she goes into the 5-star Grand Prix this year as a huge, huge favourite to win the entire thing. Everything is coming up Saya, which makes me concerned, which we'll talk about very, very, very shortly. Matt, Ranna Yagami. We spoke about how we think she's thoroughly deserved her opportunity in the 5-star Grand Prix. Obviously, I would have preferred it not to come at the expense of Amisori, but unfortunately, things like this can't be helped. However, I am thoroughly excited for how she's going to embrace this opportunity, because she, even though she didn't win her block, or win the block final, should I say, still an incredible achievement for someone who hasn't been wrestling that long.
Yeah, and again, every one of her matches were really, really good. And considering the fact that very much like Saya's bracket, outside of, the recent errors, I didn't know any of the wrestlers that she wrestled, and she still went out there and put on really, really good performances. And this was a really smart idea for Stardom to take, again, pretty much a rookie like Ranna Yagami, and you're giving her longer matches from another wrestling company, but it's not just one match, it's an entire tournament. So not only was the Stardom fans invested in this, but the wrestlers that watch Catch the Wave, if they've never seen Ranna before, or even if they have, because there's not many matches she's had, because she's only been wrestling about a year, they definitely have a further grasp and more respect and more love for one Ranna Yagami. So I thought this was really smart on Stardom's part to not only put Saya Kamitani in the tournament against somebody that clearly helped the Catch the Wave tournament sell tickets, but put somebody like Ranna Yagami in there that's going to get more experience and more exposure, not only for herself, but the company that is Stardom.
Agreed, my friend. Agreed. Let's start getting into these shows that we need to review then, because we have got so much to talk about. We really, really have. So first, we're going to start in Sendai. For the show that Stardom put out on Friday, the 19th of July. It was aired on tape delay, so I believe it came out maybe on Tuesday. I can't remember if it was the Monday or the Tuesday it came out. But the results are as followed. We have got in singles action Azumi defeating Ranna Yagami with the diving double foot stomp in 8 minutes and 44 seconds. In the three-way match, Lady C got a big victory over Rian and Meisero with a giant chokeslam in 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Tag team match, the team of Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori with the Amahashidate. I'm hoping that's how you say it. It's her roll-up in 10 minutes and 3 seconds. 6-woman tag match, the EXV team of Mina Shirakawa, Zina, and Waka Tsukiyama defeated the Stars team of Hazuki, Momokogo, and Koguma with the Thunderstruck in 10 minutes and 32 seconds. In 6-woman tag team action, the Ueretai team, Momo Watanabe, Tekla, and Fukigen Death defeated the God's Eye team of Syuri, Konami, and Saki Kashima. Tekla getting the pinfall with the Dokugumo Death Drop in 11 minutes and 44 seconds. In 6-woman tag action, the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Natsuko, and Soriano defeated the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Koguma, and Hanan with the Violet Screwdriver in 12 minutes and 41 seconds. And then in your main event, we had Maika and Saya Kamitani defeating the BMI 2000 team of Natsuko Tora and Ruaka. Saya Kamitani pinning Ruaka after surprise Frankensteiner in 13 minutes and 14 seconds. So, Matt, this was obviously the first show where it was official that it was going to be Maika versus Natsuko Tora in Sapporo. I think everyone knew that Tomoka Inaba was not winning, but obviously they couldn't announce that. But I feel like here, Tora really, really, really zeroed in on Maika, and in that main event there was actually several times where Tora just looked through Saya when she was wrestling her, ignored her completely just to attack Maika on the apron, and I quite like that because it shows a desire for her to win the tournament. It shows that to win the belt. It shows that she is something different. It shows that she is focused on it as well, rather than just the chaos that Ueretai seem to be causing elsewhere.
Yeah, it really seems like they're zeroed in on that, which I like. It's going to really amp up, to the storyline and the matches and everything going on. So, yeah, a little extra zing there, my man. A little extra flavor onto the steak.
Absolutely. And something that impressed me in this match, actually, Ruaka, who seemed to be sort of sleepwalking through the early portion of this match. It was only when Maika sort of grabbed her, pointed to Natsuko Tora and said, "Is this really all she's got, being very dismissive of it really woke Ruaka up, and she really, really went at both Maika and Saya Kamitani then. I thought that was really good. And actually, she looked really good for the rest of the match up until she was pinned by Saya with the Frankensteiner. But with it being a surprise move, it doesn't do her too much damage. And to be perfectly honest, Ruaka has had plenty of pinfalls before. What are your thoughts of Natsuko Tora as a challenger? Obviously, we're going to be talking about her plenty over the next couple of shows because her and Oedo Tai were prevalent, let's say, over these 3 shows. But what do you think of her as a challenger? What do you think about this run-up to the Sapporo shows, and specifically the red belt?
I love the way they built Tora up. She really seemed like she was almost like third in line in Oedo Tai, with Momo Watanabe getting the huge push, getting a few wins on Maika leading up to their match at All-Star Grand Queendom. And then ultimately, obviously Momo loses, but then they bring Tekla in. She almost seemed like she was third in the faction. And then they really ramped up that Oedo Tai versus Queen's Quest storyline with really Tora being the big antagonist, showing the leadership for Oedo Tai, getting the big win, being the last survivor, cutting the promo, and then on the same show coming out and challenging Maika, to the point where there's a lot of people, and including you, partner, and again, we'll get into at the end of the show, that thinks that Tora is walking out of this weekend as the World of Stardom champion, which is exactly what Stardom wants you to do. No, as good as this Tomoka Inaba versus Maika match is, and we waxed lyrically about it a little bit ago, I don't think there's anybody that Tomoka Inaba was coming out of this match as the champion. So, but there's a lot of people, maybe even 40-50%, that think that Natsuko Tora is going to walk out as champion because of the way that she's been built up, the way that Oedo Tai has been built up. I mean, they cleaned house at the Korakuen Hall show, which we'll get into a little bit, but the build up for Natsuko Tora has been darn near perfect, where again, not only is she a credible challenger to Maika, and again, I talked about how I think Maika's hitting home run after home run as this World of Stardom champion, but the fact is a lot of people thinking that Tora is walking out as the red belt champion. So the build-up could not have been any better for Natsuko Tora. They're doing a great job with her, and given the opportunity, she's hitting a home run with it.
Yeah, and actually, how they've built Tora in this series of prelude matches is at complete odds with how they've booked the rest of Oedo Tai, which has been it's been perhaps one of the downsides of Stardom, especially with the culmination that we got at Korakuen Hall. It seems that they've reverted to a formula that didn't work before, but that's a conversation that we're going to have later on. But I think if we just to boil it down to just Tora's build to the red belt, they've done a very good job as building her as a legitimate threat. Obviously, she got the pinfall victory over Maika at Korakuen Hall. And again, I do see, because of how we are pushing Oedo Tai, we are focusing on Oedo Tai, their entire edict is to bring belts to Oedo Tai. They've already got a whole host of belts. Now, I can see Natsuko Tora winning. I can see her coming out on Sunday with that red belt. I don't know how I feel about that, but that I'm sort of 65-70% convinced that that's what's going to happen. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, though. What did you think about the rest of the card, man? What for you sticks out? I know that there's 2 matches I want to talk about, but let's hear from you first.
Real quick, buddy, I don't think you announced the attendance. What was the attendance in the Sendai Pit?
In Sendai Pit, it was, give me 2 seconds, 247.
247. I just like to know. And I mentioned this last few shows. I'm going to mention it this show, and I'm going to mention it probably in the upcoming weeks. Stardom does a great job putting on a super hot match to start these shows, and it keeps the crowd hot. Boy, howdy, this Azumi versus Ranna Yagami match. We talked about this is basically the Ranna Yagami tribute show, because we're just really singing her praises. This is, my opinion, her best match as far as singles match goes. I have a feeling that we're going to be saying that a lot during the 5-star Grand Prix, because she has a golden opportunity in front of her. This was terrific. First of all, it's Azumi. Azumi's great. Great. It's always great to see like these high-speed, high-paced wrestlers start out these shows. Azumi, Natsupoi, Starlight Kid, Saya Kamitani, because you're getting bang, bang, bang. Really good stuff. Great psychology as well. But Azumi makes sure she gives Ranna Yagami just enough in this match to make her look good, Ultimately, though, it's Azumi to hit the insane double stomp on the top rope for the finish. I thought that was great. I liked how Azumi, when she's trying for the quick falls, Ranna Yagami is able to counter and then starts putting Azumi in arm bars and arm holds, basically giving Azumi a taste of her own medicine. Because we know Azumi likes to use the numero uno and the Fujiwara armbar to either finish her opponents or to set up for her finish. So I thought that was really good how they played off that. Again, a quick 8-minute match, closer to 9 minutes. This was terrific. Loved it. 4 stars for me. And again, I love how Stardom is booking these shows when they're giving you a super hot match to start. And it basically leaves the rest of the card. Like basically, all right, that was your first match. Now we have to try to follow that, one up it, and keep the crowd engaged. And they've been really doing a good job on that. Again, 4 stars for me. This was one of my favorite matches of the show. But before I go to my other favorite match of the show, what did you think about this match?
I mean, Ranna Yagami has been doing fantastic. And, you know, I've already spoken about how she's improving. She's constantly evolving in terms of a moveset, in terms of a connection to the crowd, in terms of her own confidence. However, you know, there are so many people on this Stardom roster who are having their best matches with Azumi. And, you know, she's out of title pictures at the moment and perhaps out of mind for a few people. You know, obviously she's now joining with Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki and Mei Seira in SL May. But, you know, because she's been away from title pictures for so long and because she hasn't been the focus post Queen's Quest breakup, I think people... It's good to remind people actually that a lot of people are having their best matches with her. She is a real wrestling prodigy. She really is. And this match with Ranna Yagami is another example of that because I'm not saying that Ranna Yagami needed to be led by any stretch of the imagination, but she led this match so well. The speed at which she wrestles, the stories that she tells, she does it all so effortlessly, enviably effortlessly as well. Like, wrestling shouldn't come that easy to people, and yet it really does for Azumi. I am expecting big things for her at the end of this year, at the start of next year, once this new faction has taken off, once we're out of 5-star season. I thoroughly expect a white or red belt challenge for Azumi, and from there, fully expect her to kick on because, you know, this is just another example of, and we've said it before, you could put her in the ring with a broomstick and she would have a 4-star match. Absolutely tremendous stuff. Ranna Yagami, again, I highlighted her when she debuted because she was so different to everyone else that debuted at the same time. You know, she was different to your Sayaka Kurora. She was different to Hanako and people like that. She's come through. She has this very martial arts based offense, but she's not rigid to it. So there are other things that she does. And because she's willing to change, she's willing to adapt. That's why she's being so successful. And again, you're in the ring with Azumi. It's going to be a fantastic match. Brilliant match. I think I gave it 3 3/4. Really good way to open this Sendai Pit show. And then it was followed by a big statement win, a giant statement win, if you will, for Lady C. I can't remember the last time we saw a Lady C victory. It's like London buses, Matt. You wait ages for a Lady C victory and then 2 come along at once.
It's unbelievable. She got another one on this show, and if she gets another one this week, and it'll be a 5-star Lady C season. So, yeah, they're doing a great. Again, everybody on the internet, Rob, believe it or not, the internet overreacted. The only time it's ever happened. Wrestling fans overreacted when Queen's Quest pretty much broke up. Oh, it's over. What are they going to do? Zumi, Miyu, and Masaki are in this hot new faction. Doesn't even have a name yet. And we're already super excited for it. Lady C is doing big things, getting wins. Obviously, Hina as well. And we'll get into when we get into the Korakuen show that they are officially now in a faction, but they're doing a good job giving Lady C this push. She cut her hair. Again, I'm waiting to see the footage of the beauty salon Zest hair match, the reward that happened a year or so ago. Why Stardom won't release the footage, I don't know. Maybe they're waiting for a triple Blu-ray set, Best of Lady C, which I'm all for, but she's got this new look. She comes out with like the almost DJ headphones and the cat ears that light up. I think that's really cool. And she's getting wins. And in the matches that she's not getting wins, she's the focus in the match. The Korakuen Hall show from a couple weeks ago, she took the L in the main event, but she was in the main event and she looked really, really good. So I like that we're taking the members of the roster that are on like the lower mid card, and we're doing something with. We saw it with Saka Korora at the Korakuen show with her and Tekla. We're seeing it with Waka, Momo Kogo, Lady C, Hanako, even though, Hanako is going to be wrapping up Stardom for a little bit and going over to the States. So we're doing something with every member of the roster. It's not just like, go out there, kid, give them 3 or 4 minutes and, here's your pay and we'll see you next week. No, everybody has something to do on the roster, which it's kudos to the booking at Stardom. And I know, again, a lot of people are overreacting. Anytime something happens in Stardom that people don't like right away, they're like, well, Rossi wouldn't do that. Like, pump the brakes. We have a rookie team booking Stardom, and they're going after an absolute legend after Rossi Ogawa. You have to follow that. To me, they're doing a great job, and I like what they're doing here with Lady C.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you will indulge me for a moment, if she wins on Saturday, it will be time for the 5-star Grand C. Oh, what am I like? I thought this was really good, actually. And I thought the way that first Rian and Lady C teamed up to attack Mei Seira, that Mei Seira and Rian teamed up to target Lady C, sort of fixating on her as the big threat. And then sort of that alliance breaking down, and then that final moment where Lady C literally big boots Mei Seira off the top rope into the first row to eventually get the victory over Rian, I thought was really, really good, warming her up, obviously, for Korakuen Hall. And again, I'm a huge fan of Lady C, so the fact that she is getting this extended push, there's a lot of focus on her. Obviously, her and Hina have officially joined God's Eye now, so there has been a lot of focus on that. I do wonder if the injury to Amisori has sort of hurried that up a little bit. I don't know, but it was nice to see Lady C get that victory. Matt, what else would you like to talk about on this show before we move on to the live show in Chiba from Sunday?
Match number 6, the work rate angels of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Sariano taking on Kogama, Hanan, and Mayu Iwatani. I thought that was terrific. It was my favorite match of the show. And sometimes you forget just how damn entertaining Natsupoi versus Kogama is. Obviously, we know they're great wrestlers, but they start out with the Kuma dance, and Natsupoi just so endearing. I feel like every one of these Kogama matches on this tour was like started out with the Kuma dance. Obviously, we'll get into it. Ranna Yagami was the only one that didn't want to play along, but Natsupoi, she played along just as well as the dancing bit, which I thought was really cool. And then it gets to a point where everybody does the squash Natsupoi in the corner gimmick. Even Soriano and Tam Nakano, they were like, wait a minute, she's on our team, which I thought that was really fun. And then they do a good job of just building Soriano up here because they build the heat on Natsupoi. Soriano comes in and cleans house of the Stars team. I thought that was good. I love how Hanan is now using these judo throws. We mentioned this right around the time of the Cinderella tournament. She's using those deep judo throws to then get into arm work because you already have your opponent there. You've already flung them over. You're holding on to the wrist and the bottom point of the elbow. You may as well go into some arm submission. So I really like Hanan, how she's adding that into her game. And that obviously sets up her inverted STF known as the Dandelion. So I like how we're building on Hanan's already impressive moveset. And it's going to be something really interesting as we get into the matches of the 5-star Grand Prix. Obviously, anything Tam and Mayu, I'm all for. The Mayu and Soriano stuff was excellent here. I hope those are some matches we see somewhere down the line, maybe for Mayu's IWGP belt, maybe if Soriano retains this weekend, maybe Mayu challenges for the white belt. We haven't seen that in a while. Eventually, though, comes down to some phenomenal Mel-tier teamwork that sets up Tam Nakano hitting the violent screwdriver on the winner of this year's Cinderella tournament. Again, this was my favorite match of the show. I gave it 4 stars. I thought this was a terrific, terrific match and a glimpse into some singles matches I would like to see somewhere down the line, like Mayu and Soriano.
Yeah, that's going to be a theme because there was a singles match that was highlighted on the next 2 shows that I am desperate to see and that we are seeing on the closing night of the 5-star Grand Prix this year, or the closing night of block action, should I say, on the 25th of August. We'll move on then, Matt, to the show in Chiba, Sunday the 21st of July. This was a live stream. It was live from the TKP Garden City in Chiba. 301 people in attendance, which is one of the higher attendances that Stardom have pulled in this venue, that they run semi-regularly. It also outdrew the last time that they ran this venue, which was during the Golden Week Fight Tour. The results for this show are as follows. In a 6-woman tag team match opener, the Wingori team of Saya and Hanan and Ranna Yagami defeated the Uedatai team of Rina and Ruaka and Azusa Inaba, with Saya getting the pinfall with the Idabashi in 10 minutes and 11 seconds. In singles action, Yuna Mizumori defeated Rian with the Mushigesi in 8 minutes and 30 seconds, where she springboards off the turnbuckles into a splash. 4-way match, Mei Seira defeated Saya Kamitani, Natsupoi, and Fukigen Death. Mei Seira rolling through a roll-through of her shooting star in 6 minutes and 28 seconds to pin Saya. 8-woman tag team match next, with the Stars team of Mai Iwatani, Hazuki, Koguma, and Momokogo defeating the God's Eye team of Saki Kashima and Tomoka Inaba and Hina and Lady C. Hazuki getting the pinfall with a diving senton in 14 minutes. 3-way 9-woman tag team match, the EXV team of Mina Shirakawa, Xena, and Waka Tsukiyama defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Tam, Sayoriano, and Aya Sakura, and Starlight Kid Azumi and Miyu Hamasaki with a Thunder Roll. Xena getting that pinfall on Tam with the Thunder Roll reversing an implant DDT. And then in your main event, a 6-woman tag team match, Maika, Syuri, and Konami defeated the Uedatai team of Nads Katora, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla, with Konami submitting Tekla with the Triangle Lancer. It works 100% of the time, 13 minutes and 37 seconds. Matt, where would you like to start on this Chiba card?
Let's see, my man. I just want to say real quick, even though the match was good, I want to talk more about the result. Basically, that 4-way high-speed dance. I know that that match is set up to give us a little preview of what we're getting this weekend with Mei Seira and Saya Kamitani. But I thought Mei Seira would get the win, probably over Fukigen Death, maybe even over Natsupoi. But the fact that she pinned Saya Kamitani, I thought was very, very interesting. The match was good, 3 3/4 stars. I thought everybody was great. It was basically a high-speed match, which you knew you were going to get. So it's basically everybody kind of hitting a few high-speed spots and then just putting everything all together. But I kind of just want to get your opinion on with Mei Seira getting the win over Saya Kamitani here.
I think it's more of an indictment of how complacent Saya Kamitani has been about Mei Seira. We've seen it in the shows beforehand, in my bar, I think it was, and they had, her and Mike had a tag match with Mei Seira and Azumi, and there was a lot of not seeing Mei Seira as a threat, and you could see the complacency from the finish, because Saya obviously rolled through the shooting star, which is how she got the victory on a prior show, only for Mei Seira to roll through that. And it was something that Saya should have seen coming but hadn't, and I think that's a story that they're trying to tell, that Mei Seira is this aggressive underdog that is going to keep sort of adapting and moving on. Because again, something else I noticed was sort of a renewed sense of aggression in Mei Seira, especially in this match, in the limited exchanges she actually had with Saya Kamitani. So that's what I think about this. I think had Saya just continued to get pins over Mei Seira, if Mei Seira had simply got the pinfall over Fukigen Death, it doesn't have that same impact as if she pinned the champion and she can say, well, look, this is how I did it, and I'm going to use this. The great example that I use is, you look back to Saya Kamitani and Hazuki, for example, that fantastic match of the year candidate from last year, and Hazuki pinned Saya Kamitani clean twice. And those two spots were then used in the title match as near falls. So I imagine, dependent on whether you think Mei Seira or Saya Kamitani is coming out of Sunday with the high-speed title, you can say, oh, well, that's how Mei Seira got the victory here, rolling through the roll-through of her own shooting star. And it sort of just builds that there. I think giving Mei Seira a pinfall victory over the champion shows that it can be done, which I'm always a fan of. So yeah, I'm absolutely fine with this, Matt.
Yeah, I just thought it was very interesting. I'm like, oh, I kind of didn't see it there, but again, we'll get into in our preview who we think's going to win. But I think I know what you're talking about it a minute ago, my man. As far as we're kind of getting little samples of some singles matches, this is the match I want to talk about. You want to talk about Stars versus God's Eye with Mayu Momokogo, Hazuki Koguma versus Saki Kashima, Lady C, Tomoka Inaba, and Hina. I believe this is something you want to talk about because Mayu and Tomoka Inaba may be the most intriguing match of this 5-star Grand Prix.
You've completely misread my signals, man. I'm talking only about Saya Kamitani versus Fukigen Death. Fukigen Death, of course, who used Saya Kamitani disrespectfully as a bench to read her newspaper while she was using the Muta lock. How dare that evil queen clown? No, of course, it's Tomoka Inaba and Mayu Iwatani. They've clearly got big things planned. It felt like a big deal when the very quick exchange that they had in Chiba here, it felt important. It felt like we were witnessing, something that we're going to sort of harken back to in a couple of months' time. It felt even more like that at Korakuen Hall. However, here, they gave you just that little bit of a taste, and that was all it needed, and now everyone wants to see that singles match. And again, Tomoka Inaba is 22 years old. She has got so much time left, and I want to see her in every 5-star Grand Prix from now until she retires, because genuinely, that's how much of a talent I think she is. The kick exchange that she shared with Mayu here before Mayu tagged out really did illustrate how well Tomoka Inaba can hang with the upper echelon of Stardom. And, there was even more of a tease in Korakuen, as I mentioned. And then we had Mayu doing the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil sort of signage to Inaba post-match, which I'm not entirely sure I understand, but maybe someone will point that out to me. But yes, I think everyone that watches Joshi, everyone that enjoys Stardom, is eager to see this match. And like I said, this is closing night of block action. This is the last match for both Mayu and Tomoka Inaba, 25th of August, I believe. So very, very exciting matchup, Matt.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to talk about Tomoka Inaba, and then I obviously want to get into. I'm a little worried about Hazuki after this match, but I'll get into a moment since we're talking about Tomoka. If you remember 2 years ago, going into the 5-star, and then after the 5-star in 2022, we're all like, they need to sign Suzu Suzuki. They need to sign her. They signed her, and she's been doing great work. Won the 5-star last year. Won the Goddess belts with May Sarah. And then going into 2023's tournament, last year's tournament, and coming out of it, we're like, they need to sign Soriano. They need to sign her. They did. She's been doing great work. Is Tomoka Inaba this year's version of Suzu 2 years ago and Soriano last year, where it's like, please Stardom sign her. We need to see more of her in this company with a bigger spotlight with this talent. Is she's this year version of Suzuku and Sayori?
That's a good question.
I thought I pitched you a softball. Don't you want her to sign just like Suzu did and just like Sayori did?
I do, 100%. Of course.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Like, is she like the freelancer that's coming to this tournament that you're like, okay, we need to sign her now, or not we, but Stardom, even though Stardom should be paying us, but regardless.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying. The only reason that I was a little bit not reticent. The only reason I had to think about it really is just, I don't want Tomoka to come in and then be buried in the mid-card. You think about, I know that Utami's left, I know Mirai's left, I know Julia's left. So there is gaps at the top. However, we've got Mayu, we've got Tam, we've got Maika, we've got Mina, we've got Starlight Kid, we've got Azumi, we've got Syuri, we've got all of these people, and that's without taking into account your likes of Hazuki, Natsupoi, and people like that. And then bringing Tomoka Inaba into that, behind the likes of Sayori and Suzu Suzuki. If you bring her in, I want it on the record, I absolutely think you should bring her in because she is incredible. And I also think you should bring in Azusa Inaba as well. I just think there should be a plan. I don't want to see her just buried for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks doing nothing so that it's cooled down. because we did see that for a little bit with Meisera, for example, who was just teaming with Suzu Suzuki on the undercard for a while and had sort of cooled off when she was eventually pushed. I don't want to see that with Tomoka Inaba. Again, this is all speculation. She might not be signing. There might not be anything in place. She might just be doing a couple of shots for Storm and then going back to just tap out. Who knows? However, it did feel very much like she was spotlighted in this match and in the match on Tuesday. But in answer to your question, Mike, yes, I'd love to see her sign. Yes, if I was Stardom, I'd be wanting Tomoka Inaba on my roster, because you want to cultivate the greatest roster. Of course you do. If I was Tomoka Inaba, I'd want to sign for Stardom because of the reach, because of presumably the money. I imagine Bushiroad is going to be able to offer me more money than Just Tap Out is going to be able to offer me. It's going to be able to offer me more opportunities. I would just want, right, okay, so what is my plan? Where am I going? Okay, because we are going to get to a point where, because this is such a good roster, there's going to be a clog of talent again at the top, and you don't want to get lost in that because, and I haven't even mentioned people like Momo Watanabe, who is a phenomenal talent, but just has never seemed to be able to push through that glut of people at the top of the card. And that's just why I'm a little bit reticent about with Tomoka Inaba. Am I just being slightly too cautious, or can you see my point?
I absolutely see your point, my man. So, hopefully they do come in with the plan. Obviously, with that, considering the block that she's in, every one of her matches is going to feel like a main event match. So I think they're going to be able to see really what they're getting with Tomoka Inaba coming off this 5-star Grand Prix going into September. Again, that is if they sign her, considering the fact that her and her sister have been on a lot of shows, and obviously her sister is now one half of the spoilers of the New Blood Tag Champions. So I think that they have both. I think they have plans for both Inaba sisters, which is great. Great. That's what us fans want. We want the best wrestlers wrestling for the best wrestling companies, but as you pointed out, in the best roles that'll fit them at the time. So yeah, good point, my man. Good point. But again, I was worried about Hazuki in this match, my friend. I was worried. We've already lost Ami Soya for the tournament. I was worried we would lose Suzuki after this match because of the fact that she could have been arrested for attempted murder on the poor Hina. Oh, and it seems like every other show we mentioned, like, I wonder if Hazuki is going to get in trouble because and Hazuki hits hard in safe places, folks. I'm not saying she's a dangerous wrestler. It just looks like that. That's the genius and the brilliance that is one of our favorite wrestlers in all of wrestling. That is Hazuki. But man, she waylaid into Hina with these forearms, as we call full Hazuki mode, and that pump kick that she hit Hina with. And Hina did a great job feeding and selling. And of course, Suzuki is able to feed and sell to make Hina look really, really good in this match. And I'm a big fan of Hina's improvement over these last few shows. I'm a big fan of her now going to God's Eye, sitting under the learning tree. Again, I know it's trademarked. Don't sue us. But under Shuri, because Hina does work a lot of the grappling into submission styles, which Shuri is excellent at. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from Hina from here on out, especially after she graduates from school. And then she's able to, if she wants to, go to a full-time wrestler. We saw what happened to Hanan a year or so ago when she finished school. Full-time wrestler. He's been nothing but short of amazing. Had that great Wonder of Stardom Championship match with Soriano. Won the Cinderella tournament. I expect big things from Hina in the next 2 or 3 years as well. But yeah, Hazuki was great here. Momo Kogo and Lady C. I mean, these two wrestlers, and you text me literally as you were watching the Korakuen show the other day saying, hey, when you get a chance to watch this, these two are absolutely cooking. And Momo Kogo and Lady C is two new wrestlers, not new wrestlers because they've been in the Stardom for quite a bit, but basically two wrestlers that haven't been doing too much over the last few years in Stardom that they're starting to do stuff with. And this match, they highlighted a lot of Momo Kogo and Lady C. Mayu's in the match. It's Mayu, folks. I mean, you're not going to get anything less than an A+ effort from Mayu. But I thought this was great. I thought the majority of the crux of this match, again, was Tomoka Inaba, with Mayu, and then just all of her exchanges in this match. Hazuki and Hina, I thought was really good. I love this match. I had it 4 stars. I thought this was terrific.
Yeah, it really, really was. And speaking of assault, poor Saki Kashima. Between the face wash kicks from Hazuki and Mayu trying to kick her spine out through her chest, it must have been a blessing for her when she was finally able to tag out to Inaba. I thought this was a really, really good match. And certainly one of, if not my favorite match on the show. What else would you like to talk about then, Matt, of this show?
Let's talk about match number 5. We've made mention of this quite a bit when they do these like 6-person 3-ways. You got 9 wrestlers, 9 great wrestlers, and you're always wondering, like, how is this going to end up? And I think I say this like every week, because if one person is off and one person forgets one thing or they're mistimed, it's the domino effect, because you're literally going to have the next person's going to miss their cue, or it's going to be off, and it's not going to look as good. And again, as somebody that has spent half their life as a independent pro wrestler, and again, I'm nowhere near as good as these ladies on their worst day and my best day. But you can kind of tell, is this a match that they're putting together in the back, like A to Z, or is this a match that they're calling majority of the ring? These multi-person matches, you have to call everything in the back because you have to know where certain people are. Stardom hits these matches out of the park. And this match number 5 with Aya, Tam, Soriano, Waka, Xena, Mina versus Starlight Kid, Azumi, and Miyu is just another great example of it. It really is. It's just like every wrestler looks good. We get some really good tag team stuff. We're highlighting our artist division here. We're highlighting what could be potential challengers for those artist belts coming up sometime soon. We're highlighting the new faction with Starlight Kid, Azumi, and Miyu Amasaki. Aya Sakura is somebody that obviously Stardom is starting to invest in. Tam and Soriano are 2 main eventers. So they're terrific. They're doing a great job heating Waka back up after coming back from her injury. I thought she was terrific. And Xena here getting the stack win over Tam. We don't see Tam eating a lot of losses here, and it's Xena that gets the win over Tam. And again, I like how this new regime of Stardom is not afraid to have a main eventer eat a fall if it makes sense and it builds somebody up in these quote-unquote Stardom World shows. And I thought this was great. It was nonstop action. Everybody looked good. The timing of everything was good. Everything fit real well. I have this at 4 stars. I thought this was terrific.
You're absolutely right. They actually had a 3-way 9-woman in Osaka a couple of days ago that was brilliant as well, and Cosmic Angels were a part of that, I believe, as well. I really enjoy how different these matches feel, though. In a sense, yes, it was your typically chaotic multi-woman match, but everyone getting their flashes of offense in makes each one feel unique. Obviously, Waka used hers to try and gain as many hip attacks as is humanly possible. Xena attempted to chop her way through both Azumi and Tam. And then we just got a little tease of Starlight Kid and Soriano, reminiscent of their white belt match from back in February. I don't think there's a single person that listens to this podcast, Matt, that would mind seeing a rerun of that match. And I'm sure you're the same, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for it.
And then, of course, we get that little comedy spot where everyone's in a circle, punching the person to the right. Everyone drops, and it's leaving Mina in the middle on her knees doing a signature pose. I did think that was really quite well done. Thought that was really funny. Talking about the end of this, obviously, yeah, you're absolutely right. Tam does not eat many pinfalls at all. But given what happens next, I think it makes perfect sense. Tam's absolutely livid with what happens. She wasn't hit with a big definitive move. It was the Thunder Roll. It was a roll up. She screams at EXV, get back in the ring. Xena takes the microphone. Again, they're giving Xena quite a lot of mic time. Have you realised? So Xena says, I can't understand what you're saying. However, I understand your general tone. You want another shot at us. Mina says that it's about time they defended their Artist of Stardom championships again, which I think everyone in the venue agreed with. The last time they defended them was in June, 2nd of June, against Oedetai. And yeah, it's been made official. The Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Soriano, and Natsupoi will be challenging Mina Shirakawa, Xena, and Maika for the Artist of Stardom championships on the 4th of August in Hamamatsu. That show is the last show before the 5-star Grand Prix starts. So, obviously, Matt, this was a means to an end in trying to get that challenge set up for the Artist of Stardom Championships. I get that, but as a standalone match, I think, over the last rut of shows, there have been some really, really good 3-way 9-woman matches. This, and then again, that match from Osaka, I think have been really, really good illustrations of the depth of the roster and the the sort of uniqueness of some of the characters. And I'm very, very excited for EXV versus Cosmic Angels.
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, geez, you have Micah, who's your red belt champion, Mina Shirakawa, all over TV over here in the United States. Xena, as we mentioned a little bit ago, proven main eventer. And then I believe it's the Cosmic Angels trio of Saori, Tam, and Natsupoi. That's what they set up, right?
Yes.
I mean, geez. I mean, there's no weak link in that match. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, that's going to be absolute must see. And obviously, I can't wait to preview that and then review that with you once that happens, my friend. But really good job, not only on this match, but then setting up the next Artist of Stardom Championship match, which is going to be a must see match.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that it's widely sort of, it's been widely realized that we seem to be building towards a Micah and Tam program. So that's my sort of hope in terms of Micah, that's what they're building to, and that's where we're going. Obviously, having them have some sort of prelude tag match in the form of an Artist of Stardom Championship match makes the most sense. I don't think they're in the same block of the 5-star, are they?
No. Micah has Natsupoi.
That's right. Yeah. She's A block.
Tora. Yeah, and then obviously Tam is in the holy. Every block's holy G's, but that's like holy G's times 10.
Yeah, that's obscene. Let's talk about the main event then, Matt. Which, especially over this rut of shows, with Momo Watanabe and Tekla in particular, have felt a little bit samey. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but the build to Shiori and Konami and Momo Watanabe and Tekla has sort of Tekla's had two goals in mind. The first, which obviously win the belts, and the second seemed to be manipulate Konami, and it all seemed to be about, the weapons. So as you pointed out, Matt, and I bow down to your oracle. You said, is it telling that that Konami won the Goddess of Stardom Championships from FWC by using an Ueda Tai chair? And I said, God, I hope not. And since then, Tekla has been trying to get Konami to use weapons. She hasn't been at the behest of Shiori. And, there's been mixed results for God's Eye. But what's your opinion been of the build between the two teams as we head into Korakuen for the Goddess of Stardom Championships? This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you've set aside some time away from social media every day. Maybe you find the time to put on your favourite Mayu Iwatani match. Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed like Ryogoku with kids' activities, big work projects and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. It's so important to make time for yourself, even when life can get so hectic. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to become the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's a service that is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/stardom today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/stardom. And now back to today's episode.
I like as this match is getting out of control. We see that damn lunch crate, milk crate gimmick, and Konami goes to use it. And when she does, she sees Sherry out of the corner of her eye, and Sherry, being the ever fighting warrior, saying, "No, like, you don't need to use that." And it was basically almost like a little child getting caught with the hand in the cookie jar. And then Konami's like, right, I don't need to use this. And then throws it away and then uses like a kick combination and then a buzzsaw kick that leads to the triangle lancer on the Tekla. So even though I did say about a month or so ago when we reviewed that match where Konami and Shuri won the belts, I'm like, I agree. I don't want it to be there, but they're planting the seeds for this to happen. So it's there. So then I was watching this match. I was like, maybe that's the end of it. Maybe it was just maybe something to kind of tease a little, and maybe they won't go there because then we're just really hot potatoing the goddess belts, which we'll get into when we get into this Korakuen show just a little bit. So I liked how they threw that angle in there. So, and I also like how you basically in this match get a preview of Shuri and Konami versus Tekla and Momo, as well as Maika and Tora, because obviously you have Maika and Tora coming up in 2 weeks' time, which is now this weekend. And then you have obviously Shuri and Konami versus Momo and Tekla coming up at the next show, which is Korakuen Hall, which we'll review in just a moment. So it's really an easy pairing to put and an easy story to tell. And again, I really like how Konami's like trying to go back to her Wedotai roots. And then Sherry's like, no, you're better than that. You're better than that. And then she's like, you know what? Maybe I am, but now maybe she's not. I thought it was a really good match, really telling of building up these matches. And I like how you mentioned how they're building up not only Tora, but Tora versus Maika. Literally to the point, which a lot of people don't know which way it's going to go, which is good because it's going to keep everybody on their toes on Sunday morning when that match airs. I had this match 3 3/4 stars. I thought it was really, really solid. I'm a big fan of this trio of Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Tekla, and I would not be shocked if somewhere by the time of the end of the year, those three aren't holding the artist belts. But yeah, really solid stuff for me.
Yeah, and obviously with Maika and God's Eye winning, and it does sort of render this post-match a little bit moot, but post-match, after congratulating God's Eye on their victory, Maika then wished God's Eye the best because she and Saya Kamitani had their eyes on the tag belts, and everybody sort of had a collective intake of breath at the thought of Saya Kamitani and Maika Goddess team. I'd be very interested in that, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, considering the fact that Saya is not a part of really any tag team, it looks like, we don't know what Mina's doing. It looks like she's going to be splitting up her time between the States and over here in Japan. We know Hanako's going over to the States for a little bit. So you can have Xena and Waka team up for a little bit. So where does that leave Maika? As far as tag team goes, obviously she's the red belt champion. If she retains this weekend, she'll still have those matches and then the 5-star. But we know that Stardom likes to put tag matches on these shows, and rightfully so. Stardom has easily the best tag division in all of wrestling. So now we're going to get some Saya and Maika possibly teaming together. To me, that makes sense, and we'll get into a little bit more. I know we keep teasing it, because considering the fact of who the tag champs are now, that match makes even more sense. It's even a bigger match, in my opinion. So we'll see which way it goes, but I'm all for it for this Maika and Saya Kamitani team, because, again, Saya's on an island of her own. So the one good positive of coming off the Convergence show is what's Saya going to do? She can team with anybody. Saya and Sherry can team up. Saya can team up with Azumi. They're not a part of the same faction, but the contract didn't state that she can't team with Azumi from time to time. Can you imagine Saya and Mayu versus like Starlight Kid and Azumi? Guess what, Rob? That's a possibility because she's an island to herself. She has not rebuilt Queen's Quest up yet, and I don't think she will, or she should for a while. So the fact that Saya Kamitani is now teaming with her generational rival, or is going to, and make a little bit of run at the artist belts or at the goddess belts, I don't think they'll win, or if they should win, because I think the big money is in a main event program for the red belt with the two of them. So I'm all for it, because everybody was just like, how much more can we, I think I even text you, I was like, how much more can we stack this division? Can we borrow the Goodwin DeLorean and go back to the late 80s and bring back the Midnight and Rock and Roll Express and interject them into the current tag division? Like, how much more can we stack this division? By the way, Rob, I just teased that, told everybody that you have a DeLorean, which may or may not be my only Back to the Future reference in this episode. So bear well, sir, bear well. So, but I'm all for it.
Let's move on then to Stardom Night in Korakuen 2024 July 2 from Tuesday 23rd of July 2024. This is the second installment of the Night series, where it happens on a weekday night, and the tickets are reduced in an attempt to get more people in, students and working people in, after work and school on weekdays. It seems to have worked because we have gone up from 946 in attendance to 1,017 in attendance. So excellent news. In fact, I've got that wrong. That was actually from the Korakuen in June. The last nighter in Korakuen show drew 796 people. So this is a huge jump in attendance and makes it the first time since April that Stardom have drawn over 1,000 people to Korakuen Hall, which, when you consider they have run Korakuen Hall a hell of a lot since then, that is a good number for them. The results then are as follows. We saw the return of Suzu Suzuki, Starlight Kid Azumi and Suzu defeating the EXV team of Mina Shirakawa, Xena and Hanako, who also returns for the first time since the 4th of July, with Suzu pinning Hanako with a German suplex in 9 minutes and 18 seconds. We then saw the first round matches for the 5-star Grand Prix play-ins. Blue Stars, Miyu Amasaki defeated Aya Sakura with the Tenzai in 4 minutes and 21 seconds. Also in the Blue Stars, Lady C defeated Momo Kogo with the reverse Oklahoma Stampede in 6 minutes and 54 seconds. Going on to the Red Stars play-in now, Waka Tsukiyama defeated Sayaka Kurora with the bridging Osui suplex in 4 minutes. And in the other match, Yuna Mizumori defeated Ruaka via disqualification on 4 minutes and 28 seconds. And I know that Matt was very, very happy with the implementation of the rules in that match. 8-woman tag team match next. The God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Tomoka Inaba, and Ranna Yagami and Hina defeated the Stars team of Mai Iwatani, Hazuki, Koguma, and Rian when Tomoka Inaba pinned Rian with the Inaba drop in 8 minutes and 47 seconds. The Inaba drop obviously being her variation of the Michinoku driver. We then saw the New Blood Tag Team Championship match with Rina and Azusa Inaba defeating the Wingori champion team of Hanan and Saya Ida. Rina pinning her older sister Hanan with the Pink Devil in 14 minutes and 30 seconds, ending the reign of Wingori at 298 days and with 4 successful title defenses. Your semi-main saw an 8-woman tag team Sapporo prelude with the challenger team of Natsuko Tora, Natsupoi, Meisera and Fukigen Death defeating the champion team of Maika, Saya Kamitani, Tam Nakano and Sayori Ano, with Natsuko Tora pinning Maika with the Death Valley Bomb in 13 minutes and 58 seconds. And then I assume what you all want us to talk about, the Goddesses of Stardom Championship match. The Uedatai team of Tekla and Momo Watanabe defeated the champions, the God's Eye team of Konami and Syuri, with Momo Watanabe getting a pinfall over Syuri with the Peach Sunrise in 15 minutes and 22 seconds. So the champions, Syuri and Konami, only champions for 28 days. It is the shortest reign in Goddess of Stardom Championship history, and they obviously lost them without defending them. However, Matt, and we might as well get straight into it, this entire match comes with a huge looming asterisk next to it, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. It sure does. It sure does. And when they do these turns, I never understand why the person that is going to turn, they're beating up on their opponents, because eventually you're going to go there. And I know I go old school. I talk about my fandom as a childhood. One of the best turn, and you're going to pop. One of the best turns I've ever seen that makes sense is when Tugboat turned on the Bushwhackers to then become Typhoon and form the Natural Disasters, because he never touches Earthquake. The Bushwhackers go to tag him in. Every time they tag him in, he turns to the corner or turns to the crowd and does his toot gimmick. And I can't believe I'm putting over Tugboat. Fine gentleman, by the way. Fred Oddman is a fine gentleman. I can't believe I'm putting over Tugboat when I'm talking about Konami and Shuri. But anyhow, I never understood that. I knew I didn't get to see this show live, and I tried to stay away from spoilers, but I did find out maybe about an hour before I watched the show that Konami turned. And the fact that she's doing damage to Momo and Tekla only for it to turn, I thought the match was really good. I had it 4 stars. I thought it was a really, really good match. I liked the finish, how once after Konami turned on Shuri, Momo locked Shuri in the crossface chicken wing, and then Konami's baiting baiting and basically mocking Shuri to get to the ropes. She gets the ropes, and then Konami kicks Shuri's hand away from the ropes, and that leads into the Tequila Sunrise and to the Peach Sunrise to the finish. So I like that. Again, they planted the seeds for this, so we saw it. And I made mention of this when we reviewed when Shuri and Konami won the tag belts, where it was like, I think this is what they're planning to. I don't know if they really need to go there because they're kind of doing a lot with the Wedo tie, and you keep adding even more members this fast. It's kind of going to water down the new members that have just, come about and switched, and then Momo turning to go to Queen's Quest for 2 seconds and then going back to a Wedo tie. You're kind of almost doing it maybe a little bit too much with them. I know a lot of people really didn't care too much for this turn. I kind of take it or leave it. I would like to see Konami in God's Eye, just because now you don't have Ami Sori in there, so you kind of need somebody that you can plug in for main events. But again, Tomoka Inaba, you remember she was kind of a member of God's Eye when they first formed 2 years ago, so we've seen Tomoka Inaba on these shows, so maybe that's where they're going to plug her into kind of that main event spot while they're still trying to build up, the Ranna Yagamis, the Lady Season Ahinas, which they're doing a great job with. Yeah, again, this weekend we're getting Shuri versus Konami, so that's a positive, right? I think that's going to be really good. I would like to see, because what are we doing with Shuri now? I would like to see Shuri because she's the killer in this company, right? She is the most badass of badass in a straight up one-on-one shoot. There's not one person on this roster that can beat her. I would like to see Shuri basically be almost like Bruce Lee in the game of death, where Bruce Lee has to go through each floor to fight a different fighter to get to the top floor, where I would like to see Konami get the win this weekend. And then for Shuri coming off the 5-star to be like, okay, I need to get to Konami and I need to get to Natsuko Tora, like this two-headed monster, because Konami's the one that turned on me. Tora is the one that's basically the leader of this group. I need to go through everybody to get to the top of the top of this to kind of take down Konami and Tora. I would love to see her wrestle a one-on-one match with Hina, with Ruaka, with Tekla, obviously Momo Watanabe, with the Zusanabe, and obviously even the Clown. I think that would be kind of a fun, different match. I would like to see maybe on each and every show, or one show a weekend on KBS Hall, Cork, and what have you, that she has to go through each member of a Wedo tie to get to Tora, to get to Konami. I think that'd be really, really cool to see Shuri do, because she's an absolute killer, and she'd wrestle a different style of match each time out. I guess that's how I would book it. Again, I think they're kind of watering down a Wedo tie just a little bit now. Like, they're making them almost too overpowered. Maybe, Rob, like the NWO, like in 97, 98, where it's like, okay, now we're getting too many members. So again, we'll see what's happening. The positive out of this is we are getting Konami versus Shuri. The one thing that I don't like, and again, I know some people liked it, they didn't like it. I was neither here nor there. I'm like, okay, I see where they're going. They planted the seeds. They told us it was coming, and they delivered. My big thing is, I don't like the hot potatoing of the tag belts. And now I take a step back and I kind of understand why. Aphrodite, they look like they were going to be the long-term champions. Utami's leaving to go to Marigold. We need to take the belts off them. We put them on Crazy Star. Crazy Star then loses them to FWC in one of the best matches of the year, not only just tag wrestling or in Stardom, but in all of wrestling. That match at FWC and Crazy Star, if the FWC wins the belts, and I was like, I kind of saw a longer run for Crazy Star. Then we find out that Suzu needs to take time off because she was wrestling injured. So it's like, okay, maybe that's why. And then we thought, okay, we're going to get this long run with FWC. We didn't get it in 2022. They're better now than they were 2 years ago. We're going to get it at FWC. But then we go to Shuri and Konami. But now I understand why I went to Shuri Konami, because we need to do the gimmick. We need to do this to get the angle over of Konami turning on Shuri to help Oedo Tai win the belts. So it's like, I don't like the hot potatoing of it, but when you take a step back and break it down how I just did, it kind of makes sense. I would like to see Tekla and Momo have a little bit of a run with these belts, because I like stability in my long-term champions, and I would like to see the Goddess belt stay with them, with Momo and Tekla for a while. Now, Rob, we mentioned one Violent Hazuki. Did you see the tweet that Hazuki put out about 24 hours ago?
Yes, I
about
did.
Where she used the F-bomb.
I did.
Rob Goodwin, she used the F-bomb, and I'm like, oh boy. Now, Hazuki she's not a part of God's Eye, right? Not at all. But she's just like, you know what? I'm so pissed off at this because you literally used the same chair to beat me to turn on your leader. And the one thing I do like what they're doing with the Wedo Tai, very much as akin to the NWO. is the NWO came in and they didn't care if you were heel, babyface, tweener, they were beating you up. And who feuded with the NWO in 96, 97? Four Horsemen, tweeners. Dungeon of Doom, heels. Harlem Heat, tweeners at the time. Luger, Sting, baby faces at the time. It's like, we don't care if you're heel or baby face. This is the big bad faction we need to get rid of. And it now seems like, even though Oedo Tai, they do have a lot of members, and again, maybe too much for my liking, but at the same time, they can feud with Stars. They can feud with Saya's new version of Queen's Quest when that comes above. They can feud with Cosmic Angels. Obviously, we're going to see a massive feud with God's Eye. And again, like I said, looks like they're feuding with Stars because Suzuki's dropping F-bombs on Twitter. So it's like, okay, as if this person's not any more dangerous. So it does seem like Oedo Tai, even with all their members, they can feud with each and every one of these factions. Obviously EXV because of what's going on with Mike and Tora. And then, of course, Azumi, Miyu, that group, because Azumi and Miyu got kicked out of Queen's Quest because of Oedo Tai, and Starlight Kid physically got kicked out of Oedo Tai because of Momo Watanabe. So you have all these factions you can just plug into feuds with Oedo Tai. So I do like that. Again, I know a lot of people are 50-50 on it. I'm like, wait and see. Let's take it and leave it. But I digress, my man, my brother. What do you think? You okay?
Yeah. I'm
just
not.
Took a bump.
Yeah, it did sound like it, didn't it? It's like I was being deflated. Look, I'm not a massive fan of wrestling going backwards. We've already seen Konami in Oedo Tai, and for my mind, it was the most boring iteration of Konami. What was the point in her being in God's Eye? I don't really understand the need for the turn. It wasn't desperately well articulated as to why she turned, what her beef is with Shiori, aside from saying that they've become a comedy team, which I can't say is real, aside from Saki Kashima, but she was already there. Again, we've seen Konami in Oedo Tai. We've seen this exact formula for turns with Oedo Tai before. We've seen it with Momo Watanabe. It's a shot-for-shot remake of how Konami turned on Jungle Kiona to be a member of Oedo Tai. This entire the thing that annoys me most is that I don't think you needed the Goddess of Stardom championships in this to make this work. Do you care about the championships after this? No, not at all. Not one person is talking about the fact that Tekla and Momo are now the champions. People are talking about the turn. And you could have quite easily built this up to have this turn happen without the belts. You didn't have to end what could have been an all-timer run for FWC prematurely to have Konami and Shiori hold them for 28 days, not defend them, and then drop them because of a clumsily executed heel turn. And I know that's quite heavy-handed to call it clumsily, but when you think that we have got all of this stuff with Momo Watanabe as well, the double turn that never happened during a match, and that's only just happened. Now we've got Konami, there are rumblings of Saya Kamitani. It's just a lot. And you know, we have this with Oedo Tai. We've had this with Oedo Tai with Starlight Kid. We've had this with Konami. We've had this with Momo Watanabe, where they've defected to Oedo Tai and not really done anything in Oedo Tai. And you run the risk of people becoming extremely bored of the heel faction if you just keep doing the same things over and over and over again. There is clearly a concentrated push on Oedo Tai currently. And maybe that's where this is going to differ. Again, same as you, I'm more than happy to see where this goes, to let this play out and sort of look at this again in a month, 2 months and say, okay, right, I couldn't see it at the time, I see it now. You know, I'm willing to look back and retroactively go, okay, yeah, fine. However, I don't think it needed to happen. I think Oedo Tai have more than enough members. I mean, to the point now where it's been a running joke on this podcast for God knows how long that they've got 84 members. and that's not including the satellite members of Karma / Haruka Umasaki and Azusa Inaba, who seem to be in and out of the group as well. And again, were it to be someone else, someone I hadn't seen as a heel before, I wouldn't mind. But I feel like Oedetai Konami was Konami at a most... I don't want to say dull, that's not fair, and that's not what I mean. Predictable. And I don't want that to happen again. Now, unfortunately, with God's Eye, and I think you'll agree, Matt, they've sort of been a little bit stale for a while. And by stale, I don't mean, bad. I mean stagnated. They've not really had anything. They won the Triangle Derby in January, had the Artist of Stardom belts, but since Syuri's match with Mayu, really, Syuri and God's Eye haven't done a lot, have they? Especially when you consider that was, 6-7 months ago now. I don't know. I don't just want a never-ending feud between Syuri and Oedetai. Again, I am more than happy to wait to see what President Okada and the rest of the booking team do with Oedetai, to see where this goes. If this is all going to be, a whole title grab for the big heel faction, I don't know. I'm not a fan, really, of the entire thing. And again, there was... for fear of repeating myself, there wasn't any real logical reasoning as to why Konami would want to turn on Syuri, the woman who trained her in the absence of Kana or Kana. I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me. It was telegraphed towards the end, and it sort of, I don't know, fell a bit flat. Am I being too harsh, do you think, or...
No, you make a lot of good points. Not only that, but especially with Ami Sohrei on the shelf, Konami is clearly number 2 in the God's Eye faction, right?
Oh,
behind Syuri.
That faction has been gutted when you think that Ami Sohrei's on the shelf for a year, Mirai has left, and Konami's now turned. Yes, after the show, Lady C and Hina joined officially, but that leaves Syuri as the only bona fide main eventer, the only one who's even close to the main event, because you've got her, Tomoka Inaba, who's a satellite member, Nanami, who's a satellite member, so they don't really count, no offense to them, which means you've got Saki Kashima, who isn't a main eventer at all. You've got Lady C, who isn't a main eventer, and Hina, who's still in school. So you have effectively left God's Eye with 3 people to overinflate Oedetai again.
Yeah, and again, here's my point. So Konami was the clear. You'll agree with me. Konami would be, if Konami stayed, she's the clear number 2 in that faction, right?
1,000%, yeah.
Now we have Tora. Right now is number 1 in Oedetai, right? She's the leader. She's the big challenger for the belt. Then we're going to say Momo's 2.
Yep.
We're going to say Tekla's 3,
yep.
Right? Now is Konami 4, because you can even bump her down to 5, considering the fact that Rina's a double champion and the work that she's done. So Konami at best is 4, if not 5, in this Oedetai faction, as compared where she could have been underneath Syuri. So it's like, I see your point. This is, again, they lay the breadcrumbs out. I saw this turn happen before they even won the tag belts. I was like, and we saw kind of where it was being laid out. So I wasn't shocked that it happened, but I was like, I kind of didn't agree with it, but they kind of softened the blow by saying, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, okay. That's that, my man. That is that. Again, we will see. Again, we're a positive podcast. The positive we're getting out of this is we're going to see Konami and Syuri kick the crap out of each other this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. They are going to hurt each other. And I'm hoping that it's as violent as it should be. Post-match, you had Syuri not being able to speak. She was just gutted, crying, having to be held up by the members of God's Eye. I think that worked really well. And I think I always go back to this, but I remember, and I know it's WWE, so I am aware of that, but I remember there was a feud, I think it was during COVID, between The Miz and Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt had broken into Miz's house and had threatened his family And Miz had cut this promo in the go-home show that he was going to basically rip Bray Wyatt limb from limb. Cut to the pay-per-view. It was TLC 2019, I think. And Miz comes out and he does his entire entrance. And he does the spin. He does the point. And I was immediately taken out. I was like, dude, he's just threatened your family. What are you doing? Now, if we have if we have Syuri, doesn't do her entrance and just storms to the ring, beats the tar out of Konami, I am more than happy with that. That's how I want to see it go down. I don't want to see Syuri smiling, waving at the crowd. No, you want to beat Konami into oblivion. That's what I want to see. We want to see this absolute badass. Because if Konami's sort of avenue for this is that Syuri has gone soft, that's fine. Go down that road, because actually in this Goddess of Stardom Championships match, Syuri was getting her absolute ass handed to her by Tekla and Momo, and it was only really when Tekla spat in her face that she really woke up and was sort of like, hang on, I'm Syuri, I'm an actual legitimate MMA and kickboxing badass. And that was when she became far more dangerous. I feel if we get that Syuri straight away, I think that will make for a very, very entertaining match. I do think Konami should win. Spoilers, exactly the same reason as you. I don't think anything could be worse for the heel turn than if Konami then immediately loses to Syuri. But yes, I think if you... that's what I want to see from that match, because it will be good, because they had a fantastic match at Budokan. Was that wasn't their last? No, they had a UWFI rules match, didn't they, as well, in at the end of 2021, just before Konami went into retirement. So those two matches were really good. So if you can emulate that, but add the emotion and aggression of a betrayal and a heel turn, then you have the premise of a very, very, very good match. So again, Matt, echoing your sentiment, we're a positive podcast. Looking to the positives, that match could be a barn burner, especially if aggressively angry, betrayed, devastated Syuri turns up. I mean, you could go another way. You could go that Syuri is literally so blinded by sorrow at the fact that Konami's turned on her that she can't fight back, and Konami just beats her easily. It depends where you want to go for the story. I know which one I would prefer. What would you prefer?
I prefer Killer Syuri.
Yeah.
That's the Syuri that was in 2022 set the wrestling world ablaze. That's the Syuri that was red belt champion for a year. That's the Syuri that was, rated by Pro Wrestling Illustrated as the #1 women's wrestler in all of wrestling in 2022. That's what I want to see. I can see your point, and I wouldn't have a problem with that as long as the delivery is good and Syuri. So I'm sure it's going to be, but at the same time, it's just going to be like, okay, I'm going to come out and be an absolute killer. And maybe it's at a point where she's too aggressive, and then maybe Konami rolls her up. Like maybe she misses a buzzsaw kick and rolls her up. Again, we'll get into that when we get into the preview of the two pay-per-views, which we're coming up here in just a handful of minutes. But I guess let's get into the rest of the show, partner. I thought that, again, the fact they gave this match away free on YouTube, the first match. I mean, come on. Suzu Suzuki's return. What genius. That's, again, genius booking from Stardom.
Excellent. Again, it's that old adage that you come out with so often. Give us a hot match to start off with. And you've got Suzu Suzuki, who's been out since the end of May, and Hanako. Let's not forget Hanako has been out for a month as well, or close enough to a month. Comes out huge smile on her face, brand new gear. You've got clear, evident excitement from Starlight Kid and Azumi, which I thought was really sweet as well. And it felt like a happy environment. That crowd, by the way, as well, whilst we're talking about positives, that crowd were fantastic throughout this. Really, really, really hot crowd for this entire show. But yeah, this was really, really, really good. And I thought Hanako was a real highlight as well.
Yeah, not only did they start with this match, but they started with Suzu's music, which is a badass. When you hear that music, the dun-dun, oh man, it's on. And Suzu always has this stoic look, like you're about to get your ass kicked. And you usually do, but she could not help but to be so, she was so happy. She just seemed so happy to be back in wrestling, be back in front of over 1,000 people in Korakuen Hall, and be back into this new, finally. Suzu's never been in a faction before, but finally she's in this faction with Starlight Kid, Azumi, obviously Miyu, and Mei Sarah. So she just seems so happy to be back. Xena was great here. Mina, Like the one negative thing is it went 9 minutes. I wish it went 19 because of just how good the action was. And I get it. I mean, there was 9 matches on this card. Good grief, and not one match felt like it overstayed its welcome. But I thought this was a great way to start the show. I had it at 3 3/4 stars. I thought Suzu looked great. Not only the stuff she did in the ring, but she looked in phenomenal shape. She's always been in great shape, but she really looked like she rehabbed her injury and got into the best shape possible, which is good because she's gonna be defending her crown in the 5-star Grand Prix in a new gear as well. So all in all, I thought this was just a great match to start ultimately, which was a fantastic show. Again, 3 3/4 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, I must admit it was something I was going to say before you went into that first match. I thought the show, irrelevant of how you feel about the Konami turn, I thought the show itself was really, really entertaining. The first half absolutely flew by. And I think, again, giving the Korakuen shows that identity is the way forward. People want to go and feel like they've seen something. Yes, you go to Stardom Road 2 shows or whatever, or Stardom World shows, depending on what you want to call them. And yeah, you see 6-woman tags and multi-women, but they're relatively inconsequential. However, you've got here not only a prelude to the pay-per-view, but you've also got 2 championship matches and the entire first round of the 5-star play-in tournament, plus the return of Suzu Suzuki and, to a, unfortunately, lesser extent, Hanako as well. I think that the entire breakdown of this card was really, really good. I do agree with you. I think one negative to come out of that first match is that I would have loved to have seen it go a little bit longer. But that's nothing to how the Korakuen Hall... Let me try that again. The Korakuen Hall crowd reacted to Starlight Kid when she teased that she was going to give the brand new name of the faction, only to then say she was going to do it in Sapporo. Oh, the boos that rained down, Matt Turner. What a heel. Once a heel, always a heel.
I think the whole thing was watch the show in Sapporo so you can find the name. And they're like, come on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I get that. And you get that all the time. Like CM Punk, Cody Rhodes is the biggest babyface in wrestling. He'll come out and cut a promo, and then Drew McIntyre come out and be like, I want a title shot. Like, all right, we're gonna do the title shot next week in Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. And if you're not at Madison Square Garden, every arena is going to boo you because that crowd thought they were going to get it right then and there. It just people don't realize that they're doing it, but when you break it down, it makes sense that you shouldn't do it. But she should have done it maybe in a post-match promo, but at the same time, I get it. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah,
and to be fair, all 3 women reacted really well to it as well. I don't think it was legitimate booing. I think it was just playful booing, but it was quite a nice moment. And again, do you know what? There was some really wholesome moments on this card, and one of them is the 3 of Suzu Suzuki, Azumi, and Starlight Kid standing in the middle of the ring, and Starlight Kid, huge smile on her face, pointing at Suzu Suzuki as though to say, look, she's back! It was just a really nice, heartwarming moment to open this show. Let's sort of talk about all of these Grand Prix play-in matches together. First of all, huge fan of the qualification idea to get a spot in the tournament. It makes the tournament feel like something to be aspired to. I love that. I think they should do that every year. Even if the field is of 20, I still think they should name 18 and then have 2 people have to qualify. And yeah, some people might miss out, but it, again, makes that tournament feel elite. And I think that's perfect with what they've done here. My only criticism, and it's not even a criticism, it's personal preference. I wish the Lady C and Miyu Amasaki weren't in the same block, because both of them deserve to be in the tournament this year. Miyu Amasaki definitely, but I think Lady C's improvement, she massively deserves it. And do you know what? I think Momo Kogo deserves it as well, because Lady C and Momo Kogo put on the match of this little tournament. I thought they were absolutely tremendous together for the near 7 minutes they were given. The rest of the matches were good, but Lady C and Momo Kogo was the one to stand out. I just wish that either Lady C or Miyu Amasaki was on the Red Stars side so we could see both of them in the tournament map.
Yeah, I think at the same time, then what do? Then you take Yuna Mizumori out. who is, again, as far as most improved wrestler last year in all of wrestling. So it's like somebody's not going to get a spot. But I agree. You load up these 5 stars. You know you're going to get your Mayus, your Tams, your Mikas, your Hazukis, your Saya Kamitanis. That's a given. They are going to be in this tournament. But who is left from the roster that gets a spot? Not only do I agree with you, this is a good idea. They should put every single member of the roster in a tournament, whether it's 8 people, 10 people, 16 people. It's like, okay, right, we got 4 spots left. They're going to go to the other members of the roster. It's going to be in a tournament. So I like to see, and if they're going to do this every year, which I'm all for. They did it in 2022 when Ami Sourei just destroyed everybody, rightfully so, to go on to qualify for the tournament back 2 years ago. But yeah, I'm all for this. It makes these matches mean more. It makes Korakuen Hall mean more. Probably one of the reasons why they drew almost 300 more tickets at this Korakuen show than the last one was the intrigue of this tournament to see who was going to go through. And I liked how each of these matches were laid out. Like, you went to match number 2, Aya Sakura just comes out like 3.5 minutes and just blitzes Miyu Amasaki. Just picks her apart with the kicks. And then Miyu is able to kind of fight through, hits a big DDT, and then the Tensai. So I like that, how, like, even though Miyu got the win, she was on the defensive for majority of this match that only went a little over 4 minutes. But yeah, the best match of this little tournament here was definitely Lady C and Momokogo. These two knew they had an opportunity. They knew they had about 7 minutes to go and tell their story. You're in front of 1,000 people in a red hot Korakuen Hall crowd, and a match that actually means something, even though it's not for a championship. It's for a spot to get into the 5-star Grand Prix. And these two ladies absolutely delivered. I love this match. I had it 3 3/4 stars. And again, this just goes to show the depth of the roster that is Stardom.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, speaking of Aya Sakura, Sayaka Kurora was the same, both, and Momokogo, actually, thinking about it. They all started really, really hot in this match. And again, starting with that sort of earnest nature really does put over how important the prize is. And I think they really did get that over. Yeah, the matches were rather short with the exception of Lady C and Momokogo, but ultimately I still think they told the stories they needed to tell in the time they were given. Yuna Mizumori and Ruaka is another one I want to talk about. Obviously, Yuna Mizumori gone through. I think that's the right decision. What do you think about Ruaka getting DQ'd? On purpose as well. Not a case of she did it by accident. She did, you know, the referee was definitely looking, smashed Yuna Mizumori over the head with the box, and then continued to do it, and actually legitimately burst her lip. I've never understood this. I remember, was it Tora who kept... Yeah, I think it was Tora who kept hanging people and getting disqualified. And it's like, what does this achieve? And even though I do like seeing, and which is why I'm not terribly down on it, I do like seeing this more aggressive side of Ruaka. Ultimately, it came at the cost of her not being in the 5-star. So I feel like there has to be a balance between being more aggressive, but also think about what you're doing. Do you get where I'm going with that?
Yeah, at the same time, if you look at the match, right? Like before the bell rings, Yuna's doing her, her fancy dance, and she's getting the crowd amped up. And then Ruaka hits her with the box before the bell rings. So technically it's not a disqualification. And she's trying to cheat before the bell rings, before it's an official match. And she does that, but yet she still can't get the advantage because then Yuna eventually fights through. Yuna's got really great fighting spirit. She's coming through with the forearms and the lariats. And then it gets to a point where Ruaka's getting so frustrated she has to use the box again. And it's probably not understanding the fact that, like, I'm so mad right now. And Rob, if you get mad at something, your first reaction 9.5 times out of 10 is not the right reaction. It's probably the worst reaction. And that's probably where Ruaka was. She goes to do the box and then she hits it. And I was like, come on, ref DQ. And then she pushes the ref and the ref DQs. And I was like, awesome. Ultimately, this match in a month from now is not going to be remembered. This is just a match in the tournament that makes Ruaka look more of a heel because she's using that damn box. And then it gets Yuna a little further in the tournament. So I had no problem with it. Again, I was a big fan of, we had rules. We didn't follow them. We have to be admonished when we break the rules. And that's what happened. Ruaka is out of the tournament, my man. And Yuna Mizumori, one of my favorites in Stardom, is one match closer to being in this year's loaded 5-star Grand Prix.
Absolutely. And the result is the thing that matters. And obviously, I'm a huge fan of Yuna Mizumori, and I'm happy that she's gone through. One thing I didn't like, again, you can go back to the old episodes, one thing I didn't like about Aweditai in 2021 was the nonsensical booking of the disqualifications, for example. I hope, and again, that's why I'm not going to be spending ages on it, I hope that that's not where we're going here, where, we're just going to get DQ'd over and over and over and over again, because it becomes less... You become the House of Torture, basically, which are themselves a walking, talking meme at this point. It's not crowd heat, it's go away heat. And I don't want that for Aweditai, because every company needs a legitimate heel faction, but you can't keep doing the same things over and over again, because you will end up burning people out and they will turn on you, and not in the way you want them to. Moving on, God's Eye versus Stars. Again, Matt, we got a Mayu and Tomoka Inaba little exchange. I'm so excited for this match. Like, we talked about who could be the breakout person of this year's tournament. We thought once again it could be Amisori, who could be going through to the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Why not be Ranna Yagami? Not Ranna Yagami. Tomoka Inaba. Although, why couldn't it be Ranna Yagami? Mm-hmm. Why couldn't it be Tomoka Inaba? She's in a block that is filled to the brim with top-tier talent. You know for a fact that your basement level in terms of star rating is going to be 4 stars minimum, no matter who you wrestle. You have the opportunity to be someone who is really, really talked about come the end of this block. But, going toe-to-toe with Mayu is certainly a way to get your name mentioned in Stardom, and kicking each other with as much venom as you can muster. I am all for that, because all that's going to do is make Mayu even more angry, which makes her kick even harder, which in turn will make Tomoka Inaba kick even harder. I am all here for it, Matt.
Partner, I didn't realize this until you said about an hour or so ago. Is Mayu and Tomoka on the final night, like the final block night?
25th of August.
So say that match goes to either the TLD or Tomoka gets the upset.
Mm-hmm.
We can get a Tomoka versus Mayu proper IWGP women's match. And regardless of what you think of how New Japan has booked that title, what Mayu's been able to do with that belt in the last year and change has been nothing short of phenomenal. The matches that she's had with Utami, with Shuri, with Sari, and this will just be another one. I mean, we got a preview of it. As soon as they got in the ring, the Cork and Hall crowd, they oohed and awed after they did their little segment. They oohed and awed a little bit more. Stardom clearly has to know what me and you know, and everybody else knows, that they have magic in a Mayu versus Tomoka Inaba match. And the fact that we know we're getting it at the 5-star Grand Prix, but the fact that depending on the result, we may get it as a main event or a co-main event on a big show that may go 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 minutes. And that's only going to make Mayu raise the prestige up of that belt and make Tomoka Inaba into what we already know she's going to be a huge star. So, yeah, the match was great. I thought, obviously, you accidentally mentioned Ranna Yagami, but Ranna was great in this match as well. Suzuki. I thought Rianne was terrific. I thought her segments with Tomoka Inaba was great. We mentioned her a lot. Again, these rookies, not only in Stardom, but even the rookies over in Marigold, they're wrestling like they've been in the wrestling business 5 or 6 years, and they're only in there 5 or 6 months. It just blows my mind just how great these Joshi rookies really are. But I thought Rianne was terrific here. Obviously, the main crux of this match was another preview of Tomoka versus Mayu. I had it 3 3/4 stars. Excellent match.
Absolutely, and this is why Stardom do multi-person matches better than any other company in my mind, because you look at the focus here, and not only is the focus on Tomoka Inaba, it's also on Ranna Yagami, who here showed that she's not just a kick machine. She is also, someone who can do the comedy, who can use the facials to connect with the crowd. And that moment, which, it's such a mood, is that facial expression, which is, I imagine, going to be gift for all eternity, as Saki Kashima, of all people, makes her do the bear dance. Matt, if a face could speak 1,000 words, I doubt Bear would be one of them. But even so, Ranna Yagami made me laugh so much during this. New Blood Tag Team Championship match, Matt. Without a shadow of a doubt, match of the night. I thought this was absolutely tremendous. And if Wingori are going to drop the belts, this was the match that they dropped them in. An absolute banger. Rina and Azusa Inaba have become a really, really quite dominant team. I'm going to say something now. Is Azusa Inaba's entrance gear the best in Stardom? Because if it's not, it is certainly the biggest aura of anyone's.
And it's crazy because she's like, what, 16, 17 years old? Something like that. She already has the aura. Obviously, she's great in the ring. She actually fits in, as much as we're kind of scratching our head that Oedo Tai is adding member after member after member. She fits in really well with her current character in Oedo Tai, especially teaming with Rina. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch this match, because yes, this was not only the match of the show, but out of these 3 Stardom shows that we were reviewing, it was my favorite match. Hana and Saida were great. I didn't think they were going to drop the belts just yet, but I believe it was Rina, or might have been one of the members of Oedo Tai, either Rina or Azusa Inaba, cut a promo afterwards saying, "You're no longer needed in New Blood. We're now the staple in New Blood." And I'm like, yeah, maybe you're kind of right. Maybe Hana and Saida have kind of outgrown the New Blood championships, and maybe now it's time for them to focus on the Goddess of Stardom tag team belts, because considering the fact, again, how loaded the Stardom tag division is, if we're going to keep Wingori as a constant tag team, especially coming after the 5-star, we get matches with FWC, we get matches with Momo and Tekla, obviously the current tag champs. So we get matches with Mike and Saya Kamitani, depending what they're doing with Xena and Mina or whoever. There's a lot of Crazy Star, Zumi and Starlight Kid, O2 line. I mean, the matches, the great matches are endless that we can have with Wingori. Obviously, you're coming off Hanan just a couple months ago, unsuccessful in her chances to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship. I don't think she's going to get there just yet. Why not put her in a big, big tag run with Saida? And by all intents and purposes, this match set it up. I thought it was great. And the fact that Rina gets the pin over her older sister in this match really just makes Rina look like a bigger star, and just amazing how great she's been over the last 8 or 10 months. And I do like the big tag move that Rina and Azusa Inaba do, where Rina has her opponent locked in the hydrangea, and then Azusa comes in and just boots the opponent in the face, and then it basically turns into like a hydrangea bomb. I really like the tag chemistry between the two, and considering the fact they've only had a handful of tag matches together, I thought they were terrific. 4.25 stars for me. Again, I did not see this result happening. I thought that Wingori would have held on to it a little bit longer, but I got no problem with Rina and Azusa as the New Blood tag team champions.
No, nor me. I think it's a great idea. Personally, I think not necessarily the Wingori have outgrown the New Blood tag titles, but I think they should be an ever-present factor in that Goddess of Stardom tag division. And personally, I think they're really favourites to win the tag league. I think they should be. I think it should be them versus. I think they should be in that picture come Dream Queendom at the end of December, because let's face it, Wingori haven't missed at any point this year, whether it's here in a. Before I finish that thought, that exchange, you know the exchange I'm talking about, Matt. Sayurida's chops versus Azusa Inaba's kicks. Goodness gracious me. At times I felt like I could feel the earth shake. Good God, the sound that they were making.
Yeah, especially in a loud Korakuen Hall building where the crowd was already hot, and the acoustics clearly are really good in Korakuen Hall. It really just added to this match. But yeah, I agree.
But yes, I think they have been tremendous, consistent all year. Hanan especially, like Sayurida's been getting the push that she absolutely deserves. Finally, finally getting back on track after that horrendous injury in 2021. But Hanan especially winning the Cinderella, teaming with Mayu in these high-profile tag matches. Another one coming up in Sapporo against Meltier. Being the main person on these New Blood shows. A lot of faith has been put in Hannah, and rightly so, because, and I'll say it again, she is the icon in the making. She is that person that when Mayu Iwatani retires, and I know I've said the R word about Mayu, and I'm sorry, I know that's a terrifying thought for everyone that likes this promotion. Hanan will be the person that steps up to that, I guarantee you. And not only will she step up, she will do a bloody fantastic job. Next step for these two, Personally, I'd have them win the tag league. I'd have them be the number one contenders. I'd have them have an absolutely blinding match with whoever are champions at Sumo Hall, and then make them go on from there. That is what I would do personally.
I love it. I love it, buddy. We got a lot of good ideas over here on the Stardom cast. You wonder if somebody's listening and they hawk them for their own advantage, my man.
Hey, if they do, that's absolutely fine. Just give us a shout out. Yeah, really, really, really good match. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The one thing that was slightly terrifying, Saya Rita went for a spinning power slam from the top rope, which was just would have been horrendous had she not hit the ropes first. But there was a moment where both her and Rena hit the ropes at the same time. There was a brief moment where I was, oh my God, that could have gone so much worse. Amazingly, though, and this is credit to all four women, as soon as they realised everyone was fine, straight back into it, didn't miss a beat. Fair play to everyone.
Also, real quick, I just want to say that I actually watched that spot twice because, like, what happened? Saya Ida, to her credit, obviously that wasn't supposed to happen. She did have the back of her wrist covering Rena's neck. So Saya Ida, even though she was in complete control of the move, and if anybody, it happens, mistakes happen.
Oh,
she went out of her way to make sure that Rena was protected. So even though the move didn't go as planned, credit to Saya Ida for making sure that Rena was A-okay on that spot by getting that ginormous arm over Rena's neck.
I think that might be why Saya Ida took a worse bump, because she was trying to save Rena, which, you know, speaks volumes about the type of person Saya Ida is. And you know what? Like, this was... I loved the vindication of this as well, in terms of Rena and Hanan. Like, Rena just coming out and saying, I told you I was going to beat you. I told you I was going to take your tag titles. I told you I was going to surpass your record. And I have done. Why are you getting upset about it? So simple, perfectly done. Absolutely love it. I think Azusa Inaba, as sort of a satellite member of Oedetai, works perfectly. She actually said it. How does it feel to lose to brats? They are brats. That's exactly what they are. Her and Rena are bratty little teenagers. That's exactly what they are. And if that's not their tag team name, it should be just Little Brats with a Z. Yeah, perfect. Well done. Excellent. And this is a card that had everyone from Maika, Tam, Mayu, Hazuki, Natsupoi, all of your big hitters. And the best match on this card. This isn't to say the rest of the matches were bad, by the way. This is just the quality of these. The best match on this card had 4 of the youngsters on there. And I say youngsters, I know Saya Rita isn't particularly young, but when you consider Rena's 17, I think Azusa Inaba's 16 or 17, Hanan, I believe, is 19. And they've just put on the best match of this card. The future of Stardom is in very good hands, I believe, Matt Turner.
1000%. Yeah. Again, not only the best match on this card, in my opinion, the best matches of these 3 shows that we reviewed. And the fact that it was in the legendary Korakuen Hall just makes those 4 wrestlers look even better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this, of course, set up the pay-per-view, which we have got coming up in the next over the next couple of days. Actually, we have a back-to-back show in Hokkaido in Sapporo. So they've announced the shows for the Stardom Sapporo Wonder Rendezvous and the World Rendezvous as well. So Saturday the 27th of July, we'll see the Stardom Rendezvous, the Stardom Sapporo Wonder Rendezvous, which is all based around, obviously, the Wonder of Stardom title match between Saori Anou and Natsupoi, which will be the main event. And then on the 28th of July, the Sunday, we have Stardom Sapporo World Rendezvous, which, as you've probably guessed, is based around the World of Stardom Championship, Maika versus Natsuko Tora. The full card's been announced. I'll run through those cards now. The Wonder Rendezvous, both of these, by the way, emanating from Hokkaido Shatare's Gato Kingdom in Sapporo. I believe it's the first time Stardom have run this venue. Both these cards will be pay-per-view. God's Eye, Lady C and Hina, their first match as official members of God's Eye, will be taking on Xena and Rian in tag team action. Saki Kashima versus Aya Sakura. Tam Nakano versus Sayaka Kurora. We've then got a multi-woman match, Starlight Kid, Azumi, Miyu Wamasaki, Suzu Suzuki, and Mei Seira versus the Stars team of Hazuki Koguma, Hanan, Saya Ida, and Momo Kogo. I imagine, Matt, that will probably be where we get the reveal of the logo and the name, maybe even the music, with that being the only match where all 5 of the members are together. Mayu Iwatani will be taking on Hanako as Hanako embarks on her final 2 matches before she goes off on excursion. Maika, Mina Shirakawa, Saya Kamitani, and Syuri will be taking on Momo Watanabe, Konami, Tekla, and Ruaka. We've then got the final of the Red Stars play-in for the 5-star Grand Prix, Waka Tsukiyama versus Yuna Mizumori. Future of Stardom Championship on the line, Rina, the champion, taking on Ranna Yagami. And then in your main event of the evening, Wonder of Stardom Championship, Saori Anou will make her first title defense in the second reign versus Natsupoi. Before we go through this match by match, Matt, what do you think overall of this card? Which particular matches catch your eye?
I think it's a solid card. Obviously, the last 3 matches with the Red Stars play in the future of Stardom Championship match, and of course, the Surround versus Natsupoi match that has been really, really built up very well. But as far as the underneath card matches go, I mean, that 10-women tag match with the new faction of Kid, Azumi, Suzu, Mei, and Miyu versus the Stars team of FWC, Wingori, and Momo Kogo. So you have this new hot new faction. You have 2 of the best tag teams in all of wrestling and a ever improving and well-loved Momo Kogo. I think that match is going to be fantastic. Again, a lot of moving parts. You have 10 wrestlers in this match. We know that when Stardom hits, which 9 times out of 10 they hit on these multi-person matches, is going to be blinding speed, fantastic, hard-hitting wrestling, and great tag team action. So all in all, really, really solid card. But as far as outside of your main matches, that the new faction versus the Stars team is the one I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah, agreed. I'm also intrigued by the Mayu Iwatani and Hanako match. I fully anticipate Mayu Iwatani getting the victory, but however, this could be a very good measuring stick, good yardstick for where Hanako sits. We saw her have a really good singles match with Maika at, I believe, Flashing Champions, and prove that she can hang with Maika. So I'll be really intrigued to see how she goes about wrestling someone who is so good at selling and ragdolling herself as Mayu, because I've got a lot of time for Hanako. I think Hanako is another one who has got a fantastic amount of upside. A big performance here against Mayu on the main card of a pay-per-view, I think could be really, really, really good for her. Let's go through then. God's Eye versus Xena and Rian. For a multitude of reasons, I think it's going to be God's Eye that win this. Xena versus Lady C, though, is an interesting matchup. I think Rian is probably going to be eating the fall. Lady C and Hina have only just joined God's Eye. You're going to want to build them up because of your lack of depth in God's Eye. Rian is your token pin eater, unfortunately, at the moment on the roster. I fully anticipate God's Eye coming out on top here, Matt.
Yeah, this might be on the YouTube. I think this might be the freebie on YouTube. And if it is Stardom, just let me know. I'll wake up earlier than normal to watch it. But yeah, it'll be a solid outing. We've been seeing Lady C and Hina really being pushed a little bit after coming off the Queen's Quest Exile match. She's fantastic, and Rihanna is somebody that just ever improves each and every outing, but would make perfect sense for Lady C and Hina to pick up the win here.
Saki Kashima versus Aya Sakura. I think we can probably lump this and Tam Nakano versus Sayaka Kurora in as one. I think the more established veterans are winning that. Saki Kashima and Tam Nakano both winning those singles matches respectively. I am excited to see Tam versus Sayaka Kurora because I think Sayaka Kurora at the moment is the one that I see as not the most exciting because that's not fair.
More upside?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Aya Sakura has a tremendous amount of upside. I just think Sayaka Kurora is developing quicker, is picking things up quicker, is able to connect with the crowd, her confidence, her developing moveset, and I think she will have a very good match with Tam. I don't doubt that, but Tam and Saki for the win here.
Yeah, I think Aya is just going to blitz Saki with kicks. Saki's going to do her comedy and then roll Aya up. I think Tam and Sayaka is going to be a match that we're going to be like, oh, that might get close to like the 4-star mark. I really think so because I think that it's going to be a blitzing like 8-9 minute match where it's going to be Sayaka really being really aggressive towards Tam. Obviously, we haven't seen Sayaka in the past week or two because she's been dealing with some injuries. But obviously we saw her at the Korakuen show. But we've been seeing Sayaka Karora very more aggressive, being more aggressive in her strikes and her approach, and we know that is a style that Tam works very, very well with. So this can kind of be. I don't think it's gonna be match of the show, but this could be one that would be like, we knew it was gonna be good, but this one, may steal the undercard. But yeah, I think Tam definitely picks up the win here. But I think this match is gonna elevate Sayaka Karora.
We move on then to that 10-woman tag. The as of yet unnamed team, Starlight Kid, Azumi, Miyu Amasaki, Suzu, and Mei, will be taking on the Stars team of Hazuki, Koguma, Hanan, Saida, and Momo Kogo. Matt, you talk about matches that can steal the undercard. I think this might well be it.
You have a lot of moving parts in here, but it's still going to be awesome. And it can set up some future tag matches with maybe O2 Line versus Wingori or Crazy Star versus FWC, another rematch there. A lot of really good stuff. And again, I think Momo Kogo is going to eat the fall here. I don't think it makes much sense you debuting this new faction that we've been teasing for quite some time, only for them to lose. But I see Momo Kogo eating the fall here. But regardless, this might even be one of the best matches of these two cards. Really looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be Suzu Suzuki getting the win over Momo Kogo.
Yeah, completely agree. And Matt, you've just raised a really good point. That does really illustrate just how deep this this tag team roster is, because you've got 10 women in this match and 4 established tag teams in O2 Line, FWC, Wingori, and Crazy Star. That's a lot of tag teams right there. And again, similar to Wingori, I'd love to see O2 Line be more established as a tag team. I'd love to see that. And hell, why not make that the Goddess of Stardom Tag League final? Azumi and Miyu Amasaki versus Hanan and Sayarida. I think that'd be perfect. Not only are you highlighting the youth, but you know for a fact that they would absolutely blow the walls off the place. But again, this match will be great. I do think the SL May team will win. Again, for all the reasons you've just outlined, we're getting a brand new name, a brand new logo, brand new music. It would be extremely anticlimactic if then they were to lose in 7 minutes. Mayu Iwatani versus Hanako, we've already really spoken about, but Mayu will win here. I expect a fantastic showing from Hanako, with this being her last big match, no disrespect to Aya Sakura, before going off onto Excursion, Matt.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for Mayu to really make somebody. Obviously she's done that quite a bit over the last few years, but the fact that, again, this is going to be one of Hanako's final matches before she goes over to the States, and is going to get new eyes on her. So you're going to have people over in the States that have never seen her before that are going to be like looking her up and be like, oh, she had this great match with Mayu. We've heard of Mayu. She won that belt against Mercedes Moné. So Mayu can really use this match to elevate Hanako before she sends her off to the States. And she's going to, because we've seen how unselfish Mayu is in and outside of the ring. But obviously this is going to be a win for Mayu Iwatani. But again, this is another match I'm really looking forward to, and a really good showcase for the young Hanako.
We move on then to Maika Minishirakawa, Saya Kamitani, and Syuri taking on the Ueretai team of Momo Watanabe, Konami, Tekla, and Ruaka. It is worth noting that at the end of her win over Maika in that multi-woman match at Korakuen, Natsuko Tora refused to take part in the prelude match and said that she wanted the next match to be the title match and she was going to win. And she has, as requested, not been made a part of this match. I thought that was really funny. I do expect the Maika team to win here, though.
Yeah, Ruaka's on the other side, so I think she's going to hit the fall here. You're not going to pin. Konami just turned heel. Obviously, you want to heat her up for the match the next day. Momo and Tekla just won the tag belts. You're not beating Maika. You're not beating Mina. You're not beating Saya, even though I think Saya may lose the day before or the next day. Yeah, I'm going to say Ruaka eats the fall here. I'm going to say Syuri taps out Ruaka. Thus, we're building Syuri's path of violence, the Taz path of rage, the Syuri path of rage. Beat me if you can, survive if I let you. I think that's what's going to happen here.
Yes, I imagine that will probably be the case. It wouldn't surprise me, if Ueretai win by DQ, because Syuri just can't be contained. just beating the hell out of Konami and won't let go and won't listen to the referee. I'd be really down for that. Again, we're going to talk about the Saya Kamitani and Micah relationship shortly. 5-Star Grand Prix 2024 play-in Red Stars tournament final. Waka Tsukiyama versus Yuna Mizumori. I love Waka. I think she's found a niche on the Stardom roster and in EXV. This has to go to Yuna Mizumori for me because she, I hate saying deserved, but by God, does she deserve this opportunity.
Earned, not deserved. Earned, not deserved, but I totally agree. We obviously love us some Waka. I think you're going to see a lot of close near falls because Waka is very good with those quick near 2.9 falls counts. But I think it's going to be ultimately Yuna that gets the win here. That's something that I really wanted to see as we were marching towards the summer months. Is I would love to see Yuna in this 5-Star Grand Prix, and she's one win away of making it. I wouldn't be shocked if Waka wins. But at the same time, it could be one of the bigger upsets of these two shows. But yeah, I'm going to say Yuna gets the win here.
We move on then to the semi-main, or at least the semi-main as it is currently listed, and it's Rina versus Ranna Yagami. Rina, who has already eclipsed one record as the Future of Stardom champion, eclipsing the 408-day reign of Utami Hayashishita. Rina now holds, I think it's 430 days as Future of Stardom champion. A win here would take her to 10 successful title defenses, which of course would move her one clear of Hanan, who currently holds the record, alongside Rina. I love Ranna Yagami, I really do, and we've spent a lot of this podcast talking about how much she's improved, how, you know, she's repeatedly putting in her best performances. I think Rina will probably retain here, though.
Bro, I'm not going to lie. This might be the hardest match for me to predict on these two cards. This one, I completely see your point, but at the same time, you have Ranna Yagami, who you've been highlighting. She basically was not picked to be in the 5-Star Grand Prix, but she didn't have to do the qualifying match because Ami Sourei gave her blessing to basically say, hey, Mr. Okada, I can't be in the tournament. I nominate Ranna Yagami. And that's why I think Ranna is going to get the win here, because you're going to be seeing her on every one of these 5-star matches that are going to have a lot more eyes on it than 90% of the Stardom shows that you'll see all year. And she's going to be carrying that Future of Stardom championship, which then will help get more eyes on the title. Again, I can completely see Rina winning for the basically the reasons that you just said there, partner. But if this is a flip of the coin for me, but I'm going to say Ranna Yagami.
It's one of those where I am not desperately upset if I'm wrong. If Ranna Yagami is able to topple Rina, I would be very, very happy. Love Ranna Yagami. Think she deserves that title. Wonder of Stardom Championship. My heart says Natsupoi. I really want Natsupoi to hold that championship, and I think she will hold that championship. She's done an interview with the We Are Stardom English Twitter page, and even there, when asked if she wins the 5-Star Grand Prix, what belt will she go for? She doesn't mention the red belt. She doesn't talk about the red belt. In fact, she said, I'd like to move the red belt to one side for now. But why do I get the feeling she's not winning here?
Let me tell you why.
Go on.
Soriano just won the belt back. We already hot potato the goddess belts. We cannot be hot potatoing the Wonder. Had Miko Wada not defeated Soriano,
yeah,
maybe I'd be leaning a little bit towards Natsupoi. And not only that, and this is, we're going to get into, we get into the Micah thing. I'm going to touch upon it here, and then I'm going to get into Micah. You put a lot of promotion in the 5-Star Grand Prix with all these posters and the phenomenal artwork they do on these show posters, by the way, for these two shows are phenomenal.
Oh, they really
are. On that artwork, you have Soriano advertised on each and every one of these shows with the dates on it, with her holding the white belt. And I know you may say, Matt, like it's card subject to change. Again, I'm learning from the people that I've been able to learn wrestling from 20 years and counting, that when you go to promote something like a tour or something like that, and you're putting somebody prominent on the poster and they're holding a certain belt, you kind of want them to be on that show holding the same belt. That's one of the many reasons why I think Soriano is retaining here. I think the longer story is Soriano and Hazuki, maybe at the end of the year. Again, had the Soriano not won the belt back, I would have said maybe Natsupoi. I wouldn't be shocked if Poi wins it here, but I don't think, again, I don't think you built Natsupoi up enough. Ever since she came back from injury at the Cinderella tournament, the night one of the Cinderella tournament, she really hasn't had a lot of big wins. So I don't think she's heated up properly to win the belt, at least not right now. So that's why I'm going to say Soriano wins.
See, I respectfully disagree. Not that she has not. I do agree that perhaps in terms of big wins, she is lacking somewhat. However, you look at the story with her and Saori Anou, the fact that she wanted a title shot, the fact that she'd gone through that number one contendership match with Amisori to then lose. She then demanded a title shot from Saori Anou, her friend, who said, no, I'm going to take it to the conversion and defend against Mikuru Iwata. Instead, lost the belt to Poi's absolute fury, regained the belt, and now has that opportunity she never had before. I think that there is the story there to take the belt, irrelevant of, matches won and things like that, because I do agree Poi is perhaps lacking in that area, but I think she's incredibly over. She's incredibly marketable, not even just with Tam as Meltier, as herself, she's incredibly marketable. My thing is, and it's the same as you, the hot potatoing of the belt. It's a pet peeve of mine in wrestling. I don't particularly enjoy seeing 30, 20, 30, 40-day title reigns. I want to see, like the red belt where we had Mayu 477 days, Utami 408, Suri 365. That's what I like to see. The odd one where it only lasts a couple of days or a week or so, fine, don't mind that. Don't make it a rule, and certainly don't have 3 following on from each other. Whether that is what happens, I don't know. I'm going to go with my heart, though, just so we say something different. I'm going to say Natsupoi takes the belt. And more importantly, Matt Turner, tell me you won't be happy if you, at the end of this show, see a crying Natsupoi holding that belt high before Saori Anou puts it around her waist. Tell me you will not shed a Cosmic Angel's tear. Tell me you wouldn't.
It's so funny because this show's on my wife's birthday, the real Cosmic Angel in my house. So, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And again, my man, it's really cool that considering the fact that these 2 title matches are ones we can see going either way. Like, no disrespect to Xena. I don't think anybody thought Xena was beating Micah. At Flashing Champions, we love us some Ami Sori. We didn't think Ami Sori was beating Soriano.
Agreed.
But like both these matches are really hard to predict. And I know me and you were texting back and forth, and then I found about this world match we're going to get into in just a moment. And then I finally said, let's just leave it for the podcast. But the fact that me and you are on opposite ends of these belts makes things really, really interesting, my friends.
It really does. It really does. And that's what I like about things. That's why I tune in to watch wrestling. That's why I tune in to watch these pay-per-views, especially for matches that I don't know which way they're going to go. Like with Saori Anou and Hanan, for example, there was a little part of me that thought maybe Hanan will beat Saori Anou, and that made that match so much more exciting than, the Saori Anou and Amisori match was fantastic, really, really good, but the time didn't feel right for Amisori, whereas I honestly don't think you can say that about Natsupoi. She's had 3 attempts at the belt. I think I can see her losing, absolutely, and sort of almost telling the Hazuki story, the Starlight Kid high speed story, what is it going to take for me to finally win that championship and then maybe win it on a bigger stage, whether that's an All-Star Grand Queendom or whether it's a Dream Queendom or wherever it is. Maybe that's where you go with it. However, it's an intriguing scene. But again, lingering at the back of my head is that, do you want to see a flip-flop of the belts as often as we're getting? Moving to the Stardom Sapporo World Rendezvous, which is the following day. Same venue, Hokkaido Shatare's Gato Kingdom in Sapporo, Sunday, 28th of July. This is an earlier pay-per-view than the other one. I believe the Saturday show is 4 p.m. Japanese Standard Time. And the Sunday show is 1 p.m., Japanese Standard Time, which is, I believe, 4 a.m. my time and 11 p.m. your time, Matt. So that's always the nice time for the pay-per-views. The card is as follows. Yuna Mizumori versus Momo Kogo versus Rian versus Ruaka. We've then got a gauntlet match. An EXV team of Mina Shirakawa, Zeno, and Waka Tsukiyama versus Starlight Kid, Azumi, and Suzu Suzuki versus the Stars team of Hazuki Koguma and Saya Ida versus the Uedatai team of Momo Watanabe, Tekla, and Rina versus the God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Hina, and Ranna Yagami. Hanako versus Aya Sakura, that grudge match that we spoke about before, Shiori versus Konami. Again, another match that has the potential to take the weekend eye contact. Mayu Iwatani and Hanan versus Meltia, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakano. 5-Star Grand Prix 2024 play-in Blue Stars Tournament Final. Lady C versus Miyu Amasaki. High Speed Championship match. Saya Kamitani, the champion, versus Mei Seira. World of Stardom Championship main event. Maika looking to get her 7th successful title defense under her belt against Natsuko Tora. Do you know what? We're starting from the top on this one. Maika versus Natsuko Tora. Now, Matt Turner, just to let everybody in on the backstage sort of happenings in the Stardom cast, I text Matt yesterday saying, and this was after the Konami turn, there's just something in me that tells me that Saya Kamitani is turning heel. Now, I don't want that. In fact, I believe we've had an entire part of a podcast where we've talked about how that would be a terrible idea because she is an inherent babyface. She's the most babyface of babyfaces. She's the whitest of white meat babyfaces, if you will. You know, I don't think she's got a bad bone in her body. I don't think a heel turn would work for Saya. There's just something about the way they're framing the relationship between her and Maika. The fact that during Korakuen Hall, I don't think Saya Kamitani touched Natsuko Tora at all. There's just something about the way that they are framing it that tells me that somehow Saya is going to get involved and Tora is going to win the belt. Now, I cannot stress enough how much of a bad idea that is. Not Tora winning the belt. I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea, controversially. Saya Kamitani as heel, I do not want to see. I do not want to see Saya Kamitani as anything other than the earnest babyface she is at the moment, going for that red belt, having, spoilers, won the 5-Star Grand Prix this year. That's what I want. In terms of the red belt match, if my Dower prediction isn't true, I would like to see Maika retain, simply because we seem to be building towards Maika versus Tam Nakano. There is a natural story there. Tam never technically lost the red belt, having to give it up through injury. I think you can tell that story there. However, if Tora were to win, she offers something completely different as red belt champion. And if you remember, this is what I said with Momo Watanabe at All-Star Grand Queendom. You know, we've had all these babyface champions, you know, whether they are badass babyfaces or whether they are just babyfaces. Shiori, Utami, Mayu. The last heel champion we had, proper heel champion, and we've said this before, was Kagetsu. So Natsuko Tora as a dominant heel champion would certainly offer something very, very, very different. Whether that is where they go, I don't know. I'm sort of blinded by my panic at the thought of Saya Kamitani as a heel. Matt, talk me down. I'm on the ledge, Matt. Talk me down.
I'm going to debunk all your theories now. And I did not see the Korakuen show, but when Rob texted me saying they did not touch it all in this 8-person match, I said, okay, let me watch it. Let me digress. And you're right, they really didn't. However, hold on. Who did Tora mostly get involved with in this match, in that 8-person match from Korakuen Hall?
Mei Seira at one point on her own team. Maika.
Come on. Okay, now does Natsuko Tora and Maika have a big match coming up that they would use this form to promote?
Well, yeah, of course.
Who does Saya Kamitani interact with the majority on that match?
Well, Mei Seira.
Mei Seira. And do they have a match coming up? Now Rob, again, coming from the pro wrestling, coming from an independent pro wrestler, if you're in a match where there's 8 people, 4-on-4, you kind of want to what we call marry yourself to somebody in that match. So you're basically only doing a few things with that said person. So you're not interacting with somebody else, and then it kind of gets confused or jumble. That match, they told a simple story. Not only that, but we're trying to sell tickets and pay-per-views for Micah versus Tora. So we're not going to do too much with Saya and Tora, because then we also have Saya and May Sarah. So I see your point. There wasn't much happening there, but because they had Tora and Micah interact. Another thing is Natsuko Tora pinned Micah in this match. Do you think Stardom then has Micah eat another loss in less than a week's time, considering the fact, correct me if I'm wrong, when they went into that match for the vacant championship, it was Rossy Ogawa that wanted Suzu Suzuki, but the brass at Stardom that is now running Stardom to have Micah become the champion. They clearly are all in on Micah, and rightfully so, because it's paying off, not only in the matches, the storyline, and ticket sales. So do you take the belt off a red-hot Micah to put the belt on Natsuko Tora, who has not been proven as a draw as a main event wrestler, right? And again, I think Tora's fantastic. I think she's a great heel. What they're doing is they're doing something that any old promoter would do. You're building a heel up to make it look like they can defeat the really great babyface to take the championship, and ultimately just the babyface that goes over. They did this. Vince's dad did this, Vince Sr. They would heat up a heel, feed him to Bruno. They did this with Hogan when I first started watching wrestling. They would build up Bob Orton or Paul Orndorff or King Kong Bundy or Big John Studd to the point where it's just like, oh my God, Hogan's going to lose the belt, only for Hogan to triumph at the end. I think this is exactly what's going to happen here. When Natsuko Tora at the conversion was announced that she's the next challenger for the red belt, I'm like, this is great booking, because Tora is on a roll as a heel just moments prior, being the sole survivor in that big Queen's Quest versus Oedo Tai match. But people are going to pay to see Micah get the win here. And there's a lot of people that think, no, I think it's going to go to Tora. I think it's going to go to Tora. And I could be wrong. My prediction is Micah. Micah is on a roll. You're doing very well with her. And again, what I just said a little bit ago, here's going to be my Back to the Future reference, my man, my second one of the show. Stardom has released a lot of really cool posters for the 5-Star Grand Prix. The last one they released has all the dates on the bottom. On the very tippy top, it's Suzu Suzuki with the crown, right? Rightfully so. She won the tournament. To the right is Mayu with the IWGP belt, Micah with the red belt in the middle, and up until a couple weeks ago, it was just Soriano with no belts. Soriano wins the white belt back 24 hours later after she defeats Miko Iwata. Very much like the Enchantment Under the Sea dance part in Back to the Future. The white belt just happens to reappear. Remember when Marty McFly is on the stage playing Earth Angel, and then he can't play it because he's disappearing and his sister's disappearing, and then his dad punches out the bully and then gets with his mom, and then he returns. That's basically what happens with the white belt. Again, coming from the people that taught me pro wrestling, especially in Ring of Honor, and when if you're paying for money for a promotion and your champion that you're putting on the posters don't walk into said shows with the belt, I know it's card subject to change, but you're kind of like almost false advertising said person. We know Mayu is walking in as champion. Suzu is obviously the champion the year before. This is one of the many reasons why I'm saying the belts stay with Micah and Soriano, is you're promoting these two wrestlers, your top two champions, being on each and every one of these shows as representing the World of Stardom champion and the Wonder of Stardom champion. There's another reason. I don't think I'm saying on the Micah thing. Sorry. You are clearly building towards Micah and Tam. Clearly the last few shows, they're doing shots of Micah and Tam with the red belt. And there's an easy story there. Micah, as great as a champion as she's been, never defeated the prior champion. Tam had to give up the belt due to injury. It's an easy story to tell. And that match is going to draw a lot of money. Will you jeopardize that and basically this is the match that we've been teasing for the past month or so? We're not going to give it to you because we're going to go in opposite direction for something that really doesn't make much sense. Not really. And then here's another reason why Saya Kamitani is not going to turn heel. And again, I could be wrong. Saya can come out and hit Micah with the lunchbox 2 minutes in the match, and the match will be over in 4 minutes, and there's 84 members of Oedo Tai. Saya Kamitani, they just released new little Queen's Quest flags, right? Which, trust me, you will see that in the podcast room in the next few months. Though that merchandise, again, Rob, coming from somebody that has been through a lot of the behind the scenes with some big independent companies, that merchandise that they just put out cost them money to make. It costs them money to put in the catalog. It costs them money to put on their merch table. It costs them money to ship. It's going to cost them money to put on their website. You then they want to sell a whole bunch of those little Queen Quest flags. If Saya Kamitani turns heel, how many of those flags do you think they're going to sell? Probably not many. So you're jeopardizing that merchandise money going away. Plus, we're really on a roll telling the Saya Kamitani story. I see your point. I see a lot of people's point where it's just like, I think they're turning Saya heel because they're doing too much with her and Micah. Now, her and Micah are teasing they're going to be going for the goddess belts. Now, could they tease and not give it to us? Sure. But didn't they just do that a month ago at Momo Watanabe? Are we really going to do this again where it's like you're going to tease something and then take it away and then do it again? You're crapping on your fan base. You're basically turning on your fan base. And considering the fact that we just had another Oedo Tai heel turn less than a week ago with Konami turning, then to have Saya Kamitani turn, none of this makes sense. Could I be wrong? Sure, absolutely. At the same time, there's a lot of reasons why I think that I'm right for the reasons I just gave. Now, do I think that Mike and Saya Kamitani are going to win the goddess belts? No, I don't. But if you do Micah and Saya versus Momo and Tekla, the story's already there. Momo and Tekla are the tag champs. Saya hates everybody in Oedo Tai. So does Micah. They have a common enemy. Now, can you do something in that tag match where Saya accidentally hits Micah and Micah accidentally hits Saya, cost them the match, and they kind of get into it a little bit? And then Saya kind of maybe takes a look at Micah's red belt. And then guess what? Off to the 5-star we go. And that's where we start building. To me, the big money matchup coming at the end of the year, and I mentioned this when I did my conversion review, is Saya Kamitani built all the way back up, winning the 5-star as the number one contender, and Micah continues to be on this record pace roll that she's doing as far as match quality goes. I think that's the biggest match that you can do. I think that's where they're going. I know a lot of people are saying Tora versus Saya Kamitani for the red belt, but then again, we take away that Tam versus Micah match. We take away the Shuri versus Micah match that everybody wants. There's a lot of money to be left on the table if you take the belt away from Micah this weekend. And that is the 55 reasons why I think that Micah is going to retain the belt at this show.
I mean, you've said that.
Did I help you? Did I help you? Did I help you, buddy? Did I help you at all?
My breathing has returned to normal. You obviously you said about the gear, the Queen's Quest flags. Let's not forget that Stardom released a load of fresh Utami Hayashishita gear the week before she left or announced that she was leaving. So
that wasn't Stardom. That was that parent company that they were using. That was not Stardom. That was like the photo company. That wasn't Stardom proper.
Okay. I will let you off that one. In terms of Konami, she was doing literal autographs and having pictures with Shuri as God's Eye before the heel turn. So on that show with fans. So they aren't above, sort of sticking the knife in and twisting, so to speak. I hope you're right, Matt. I really do. And your reason is relatively sound. Far sounder than my irrational, oh my God, they're turning a heel, please don't. There's just something nagging. Why they never, ever, ever make a fuss of seconds at ringside? Why have they made a fuss here? Something is going to happen. Like, I know that something is going to happen, otherwise they wouldn't bother of mentioning it. But why? Why have they mentioned it here and not in any other title match in the 5 years that I've been watching Stardom? It doesn't make sense.
It could be a case, too, where you see all of EXV and Oedo Tai get involved and the ref isn't paying attention, and then Kamitani gets in the ring and somebody slides her a chair. And very much like what happened with Momo, like she has a choice. Because remember, Momo whispered something in Saya's ear. We still don't know what that was from 2 months ago. And then you see Saya whack Tor with the chair, and then she does like a springboard plancha to the outside and takes out all of a Oedo Tai, and this opens the door for Micah to hit like a Michinoku driver. That could be the reason. That's the way that I would book it. That's the way I would go about it, is that you give Saya this big pop to help Micah basically retain the belt, and then you build towards a Micah-Saya match.
I mean, again, that's what I would want. Plus, having backup against Oedo Tai makes the most sense, yet no faction seems to do that. No faction thinks, do you know what, Oedo Tai, enjoy playing the numbers game. There's going to be 823 of them at ringside. Maybe I should bring backup. Nobody ever does that. So, potentially, this could be a case of Micah just stacking the deck in her favor with EXV at ringside and Saya Kamitani. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm British and I'm just inherently negative. Who knows? I hope, though, that the tweet you put out that said Saya Kamitani is not turning heel emphatically. I hope, my friend, that this tweet does not come back to bite you. Imagine,
it's okay.
It's going to get retweeted so much if she turns heel on Sunday. Let's move on. Let's move on from the drama of that World of Stardom Championship match. I am going to go with Micah, but it is very much 51-49. It would not surprise me if they put the belt on Tora. And do you know what? I wouldn't necessarily hate Tora's champion, as I've already said. High Speed Championship then, Saya Kamitani versus Mei Seira. Mei Seira looking to be a 2-time High Speed champion. Dropped it, in my opinion, rather prematurely in Philadelphia. Is looking to reclaim it. And I think she does. I think she beats Saya Kamitani here, Matt.
I think she does as well. I just waxed lyrically about how much I love Saya Kamitani for two main reasons. One, you got to get the belt off Saya. Saya is a main event wrestler. She is a red belt wrestler, and Mei Seira is your backbone of the high speed division. I understand why we put it on Saya. She had some good matches with the belt. This match is going to be fantastic, but I think Mei takes the belt back here.
Yeah, I think it makes most sense as well. She is sort of a linchpin of the division. She's in the brand new faction, and Saya Kamitani is very much a red belt, white belt sort of person. Maybe she's just working her way through the belt so that she can become the next Grand Slam champion, as I feel like, aside from I don't know whether the SWA would count anymore with it being vacant for so long. Maybe it has to be the IWGP, but she's only the World of Stardom at the moment, away from completing the Grand Slam. So maybe that's what they're doing. Lady C versus Miyu Amasaki then for the Blue Stars tournament final. It's going to be Miyu Amasaki, and I'm absolutely fine with that because I love Miyu Amasaki. I think she's great. I think she fully deserves to be in her first ever tournament. But I also think the same about Lady C. I would have actually, much as I really like Yuna Mizumori as well, I would have much preferred it have been Miyu Amasaki and Lady C than Yuna Mizumori and one of Miyu Amasaki and Lady C. That can't happen for obvious reasons, and therefore I think it probably will be Miyu Amasaki. Again, dominant faction, a brand new faction, should I say. Big hot thing coming off the dissolution of Queen's Quest as we knew it. Miyu Amasaki been putting in fantastic performances, is extremely, extremely entertaining to watch. I do think she wins here.
Yeah, I think Miyu's going to get the win here. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Lady C, but yeah, Miyu Amasaki on the cover of Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine a few weeks ago. This new faction is something that they're really, really heating up, and putting Miyu Amasaki in the 5-star Grand Prix would be a great thing. So I agree that Miyu gets the win here.
Eye Contact versus Melty. This is actually the first time, Matt, that Melty have teamed together at all in a tag team setting since April 27th against Aja Kong and Kaoru Ito, which is baffling when you consider just how good they are as a team. And I know this is because of the story between Natsupoi and Saori Anou, but I do miss their chemistry because Melty, when they're on song, are so damn good. This one's really hard to call. I can honestly see this being the TLD of the weekend.
I agree. I got a TLD, buddy. And I got no problem with that.
No, fair enough. Saori and Konami, we've sort of already spoken about in the way we sort of what's the word I'm looking for? The way we'd structure it. That's the word I'm looking for. Who do you think wins? I mean, personally, it has to be Konami. She's just turned heel. Whether it's via nefarious means, but Saori absolutely beats the tar out of her first, I don't know. But I think with the heel turn, Konami has to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to bury Konami after the heel turn because then you just negated what you did 5 days prior. So Konami gets the win here. We build Shuri back up. Maybe we go back to a UWFI rules match. We did see Konami in Bloodsport back, about a month or so ago. Maybe, you do something like that, a style like that. Again, they had that UWF rules match back at the end of 2021. So maybe that's where you build towards. Eventually, Shuri's going to, they're going to build Shuri back up and she's going to get her big win. But this needs to be a win for Konami.
Final couple then, Hanako versus Aya Sakura in Hanako's final match before she goes off to America for a month. I think it's a great way to send Hanako off. I think a dominant victory here against Aya Sakura. They debuted together, so that's quite nice. But I think Hanako ends on a high here before leaving for a month.
Yeah, I completely agree, but should be a solid match.
The gauntlet match then, I think you can quite easily just sort of close your eyes and point, and you'd have an equal standing as to who wins this. If it was up to me, Starlight Kid Azumi and Suzu Suzuki would win. Brand new faction, again, hottest thing. Suzu Suzuki's just returned. Makes perfect sense for them to win. I do feel like they're not doing an awful lot with Mina Shirakawa at the moment. Maybe they get the win, but for me, it has to be Team SL May.
I'm with you. Team SL May. 4XL, my man. I agree.
4XL for the win. Then finally, the opener, which will probably be the YouTube free match. Yuna Mizumori versus Momokogo versus Rian versus Ruaka. I'm going to go Yuna Mizumori, especially as we've both got a winning the Red Tournament final. I think she wins it here.
Yeah, I agree, but I wouldn't be heartbroken if Momokogo got a W here. But yeah, I'm going to say Yuna pins Rian.
Yeah, agreed. And ladies and gentlemen, we did say it would be a long one. We have been podcasting for over 3 hours. We hope you've enjoyed this rather long episode. We will, of course, be back next week to talk about those 2 pay-per-views. Will the landscape of Stardom have changed forever? Will Saya Kamitani be dark Saya Kamitani by the time we podcast next? Good God, I hope not. Will Natsupoi have finally claimed the Wonder of Stardom Championship? Who knows? And most importantly, what will the name of Starlight Kid's new faction be? And even more important than that, Matt, will we have a definitive answer as to whether your wife placed in the apple pie baking competition? Join us next week for the answer to all these important questions. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We truly do appreciate all of your support. You can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you can get all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please consider subscribing. It's free, takes just a couple of seconds, and if you could leave us a 5-star review or a comment on the platform of your choice, that really helps us out as well. You can find us on social media at the Stardom Cast. Don't forget to check out the website for all your news, updates, and statistics about the world of World Wondering Stardom, www.thestardomcast.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt Turner, where can they find you? And sign us off.
Just real quick, there is no EO and Kyrie watch. Just to let everybody know, we did not forget about the segment, but there is no EO and Kyrie watch this week. Questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter. You want to shoot me an email, the StardomCast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me via the email system. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because when all together, everyone's different, everyone's special.